set. 5500. 3 button. Rotate.
Well, hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Glad to see everybody here this fine Thursday morning for me, still here at the V1 HQ in North Texas. Welcome in for an airplane that we have not seen for quite some time. It had some issues on Microsoft. It was a game changer in X-Plane when it released. It's got a history with simulation and X-planers and Microsoft 2020 years. We're going to talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, the iniBuilds A300 600R. This is the premium upgrade version that if you own the Microsoft 2020 version, it's about 10 pounds. Hold on, I'm getting, what's going on here? I got like double, I can hear myself talk. Oh, that would be why, because my stream is on in the other window. Anyway. So, this is 10 pounds if you own the 2020 version. They say there's some upgrades to it. There's some flight handling characteristics, some sound tweaks, and I'm going to let y'all be the judge. I'm going to reserve my reservations till we get up maybe in our climb out. We're going to be operating American 357 from Miami to San Juan, Puerto Rico, which is where I just came from. I figured why not? We're going to head out towards the east, get out of the cold weather in the, well, I guess it's not really cold in Miami, but get some nice little winter vacation in San Juan. In flight, we're going to do our favorite thing here on the channel. We got a little Green Dot Aviation in-flight entertainment today. So make sure you stick around for that. Shout out to Green Dot Aviation. Partnered up with the channel here. We go over some of his videos. We're going to go over an interesting one. We're going over a 737 Classic one. I was going to do a 777 one over New York, but I wanted to do this one just because I thought it would be a little bit more, I don't know, just more pertinent to kind of what we're doing. So that's what we got set up for this flight. I hope y'all are ready to get going. We are on Aveo Premium. We're ready to roll. Sam, good to see you, my friend. Hope Upgrade's doing well. Appreciate you tuning in. Enjoy the cockpit trainers later, man. Let me know, keep me posted of your progress, man. That's so cool, dude. First time you upgrade at an airline, man. It's a special moment, dude. Enjoy, soak every bit of this in, because it only happens one time, dude. It only happens one time. Well, the first time, I should say. It only happens the first time, one time. So make sure you soak it all in. Yeah, it has history with AJ too, says Team Vodka. Yeah, this airplane's got a lot of history with a lot of different people. Some mixed, some good, some bad. But let's go ahead and do a quick little breeze around the exterior model. I mean, first and foremost, I got to say, I mean, you guys know, I think iniBuilds does a pretty decent job with their modeling. I'm not quite sure if there's any difference between the premium version versus the regular beta version. I've already pulled the chocks and covers, but you can see as we walk around here, I mean, it's pretty, I mean, it's not the best I've ever seen, but it's definitely not the worst. Our tires look a little bit bald there. We might have to take a look at those. It does have maintenance tracking, which I really like. So if you fly this airplane consecutively, we'll show you that in the EFB if you're unfamiliar. Big old cargo doors here. We're kind of just doing our little pre-flight as we walk around. Welcome to Hotel Day Miami, by the way. This is default Miami and Microsoft 2024. Now, I do have a, is it Latin VFR? I can't remember. I have a San Juan for 2024. It looks really nice, actually. So we do have a nice scenery in San Juan. There's a brake fan there and everything. That looks good. You really get a true size. This is where, I mean, I'm hit or miss on walk-around mode. I know when it first came out, I was kind of raging about walk-around mode as an airliner. I don't know. I might be doubling back on my comments because what I like about walk-around mode, the more I do it, is it gives you a size, a perspective. You know, it kind of puts the aircraft in perspective of how big this airplane you're actually walking around, like how high up the wing is. So I don't know. I might be doubling back on my initial comments about how walk-around mode is kind of ragey. Now, I do think it's kind of silly that we got engine covers and stuff you got to pull off. I already pulled the covers off with the EFB and such, but I don't know. You guys let me know what you think. There's our tires. They look good, nicely inflated. All right, looking good here. Looking good. What's twitchy? This is twitchy? Well, unfortunately, when you have a force feedback yoke, nothing is really twitchy anymore. So we'll see. I'm running a profile that it's a newer profile that Team Vodka made for the A300. I don't know if I like it. I think it's a little bit too sensitive. I'm trying to tune it in. But, you know, when you get force feedback, twitchiness basically goes by the wayside, which is, it's good and bad because it makes me think every airplane flies really, really nice, and then I tell y'all, then you're flying with like a TCA stick or some other hardware that's not force feedback, and you're like, wow, what are you talking about? It's really twitchy. So you got to take it with a grain of salt. Force feedback is game changing. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I smell like burning rubber. I don't know. That's weird. Maybe somebody turned the heat on in the office. I feel like I'm having burning rubber because I'm outside of the airport, but I'm not. I'm actually in the office right now, so maybe somebody just turned the heat on. Anyway, so there's our little pre-flight walk around. You can see, I mean, the model is nice. I like the model. Some people say it's not detailed enough. Look, I think it's pretty dang good. Let's get the final verdict right here. We got to look in here at the engine. Oh yeah, something's burning. Something's definitely burning. Give me a second, guys. Something's on fire. Be right back. Okay. I can confirm it's just the heater, I guess. I guess no one's ever turned the heater on before. I got some company here at the HQ today, so somebody was a little sissy and they want to turn the heat on. So we got the heat on. I guess it's just burning some old dust, but nothing's on fire. Everything's good. So let's go ahead and continue on. Let's hop into the cockpit. Let's show you where the money is here. Into the A300 flight deck. Now, I'm going to say this out of the gate. We got a longer flight, so we're not going to go over a full review of the cabin. We'll do a cabin tour and all that stuff once we get up and cruise to. But the airplane looks really good in 24. I can tell that the airplane has kind of been tweaked and like the textures have been optimized. I get better performance in this airplane than I do the default iniBuilds aircraft. So I feel like they've done some work in optimizing this airplane. And I said this on the last stream. I think iniBuilds standalone aircraft definitely perform better than the default iniBuilds aircraft, and I don't know if that has something to do with how they're released or what the requirements are. But this airplane, performance-wise, knock on wood, we're going to find out together as we stream. In all of my testing, has actually been pretty good. Like I haven't had any performance issues or hiccups or any VRAM issues. So. Good morning, Callie Simmer. Good to see you here. Welcome on board. Let's go ahead and fire it up for the first time. So I'm going to have the sounds up. Remember, the sounds are supposedly tweaked a little bit better. I'm going to make sure my sounds are juiced all the way up. Let me know if you want me to turn them down. And I haven't flown, well, I haven't really compared them side by side to the free beta version. So if you have the free beta version, and you can hear differences, let us know in chat, because I'd be kind of curious. I would like to see these side by side, because they claim that on this premium version there is a little bit of difference. So you guys keep me informed. Let's go ahead and juice this puppy up, shall we? We're gonna get battery 1, battery 2, battery 3, and we'll go right into the external power. Wonderful. With the external power up, let's go ahead and begin our ADIRS alignment 1, 2, and 3. Put this in the heading STS. We'll go ahead and move down the overhead panel. We'll go ahead and put the no smoking sign into auto. We'll go ahead and put the nav lights on. Then we're going to come up this panel. ATS can stay off yaw damper. We'll go ahead and power up the galley right now so we get the coffee brewing. Fuel tank pumps will stay off. That looks good. Probe heat, window heaters can stay off. Matter of fact, we can actually probably get the window heaters on right now. Window heat's on, probe heats are off, APU bleed is off, and we'll go ahead and get the crew supply oxygen on, get us into the green band. All right. With that, aircraft's powering up. Let's pull out our standby ISIS. Harold, that's how realistic this sim is. The visual smells and visual perspective. I tell you what, man, that was funny, because like, you know, when you try, I guess this building's heater hasn't been turned on in a really long time, so it has that burning smell. And we're walking around. That's when you smell burning rubber sometimes, depending on how the wind's blowing. That's just trippy. All right, we'll go ahead and clear out our scratch pad messages here. We'll get all you loaded up. We'll go Magic Barrel Ref. It does have full SimBrief integration, so we're going to go here FMS. No, we're not. We're going to go here ACARS, request SimBrief. Bring it up. There it is, American 357. We'll go in Miami to San Juan, Puerto Rico. That looks good. We'll clear the route uplink message. We'll go ahead and press Align IRS. That's something you got to press if you're unfamiliar with the A300 series. Make sure you do press Align right there. So that's loaded up. We'll come over here. We'll take a look at our EFB tablet. You guys have seen this before if you've had the A300. I've got everything set up here the way I like it. I've also got pounds, and I've got realistic maintenance items selected for now. And I've also juiced up internal engines and exterior engines just a little bit. Everything else I've kind of left at the default setting. We may adjust those. I put automatic door arming off because I don't know how to do it, and I just do it manually. So there's your settings menu. It does have throttle calibration, which I've done. I'm going to be rocking, I was going back and forth on this. I'm actually rocking the Throttletek 767 Quadrant because I love having the big boy throttles for a big boy airplane. You can use the Flightbox V3 or your Bravo. It has a reverse on axis or not, which is nice. I love this option. I think as more and more hardware developers come out with throttles, I really hope this becomes the norm, you know, allowing the user to choose reverse on axis. I have it off for now. I have a funky way of doing a workaround until I get my SPAD.next up and running, but As with that all done, let's go to our weight and balance. We're going to update from SimBrief. Okay, that's what we're taking. We're going to apply this load to the aircraft, and I believe since I have realistic fueling, it actually is going to start loading in a realistic time. So that looks good. With that done, let's come down here and plan our departure out of Miami. Let me go ahead and use the on-screen Navigraph charts for us as well and get this loaded up. So we'll get this loaded up. I'm going to make everything larger so y'all can see it. We're going to go 140 on that. That looks good. And we need to go settings, and let's make it a medium-sized EFB. We'll bring it over here. Excellent. Go to our flight SimBrief. Nope. SimBrief dispatch. What? I guess I got to sign in. I've never had to do that before. Well, I guess I've never done it before on... give me 1 second. Let me do this. JNL 6 Whiskey 5 Sierra Charlie. So it should all linked up. Boom, beautiful. How do I get to my flight plan stuff? What is this? Is this new? I don't like this. Where's the other? What is going on here? Where's the old school, like where you have the map and everything? Oh, I'm looking at the wrong thing. Good night. I'm such a... Never mind. I haven't had enough coffee yet, y'all. Excuse me. I was looking in the wrong spot completely. So we're going to unload this. We're going to import a new flight. I didn't want to redispatch. This is what I got. We already have it dispatched. No, AJ, I'm good. Not really. But we got this loaded up here. This is going to be our route of flight going out over the islands, which is pretty good. Now, I flew right over Miami on my flight out to Puerto Rico, so it's kind of like the same flight I did, just half as long. Let's take a quick look at the weather here. Right now, Miami International. .350 at 10, gusting 16. So winds are going to be out of the north. I tell you what, let's plan. Let's plan 3-0 for departure. It's kind of an oddball. Let's plan 3-0. We're right over here. I guess they'd probably use 2-7. Let's use 3-0 though. All right, so let's plan 3-0 for departure. And we are going to be on the Plata 2. Plata 2 departure, and we're going out to Bitac. Better put a little bourbon in that coffee and ensure a quick pick-me-up. I hear you, Bo. I hear you. All right, we'll insert that. That looks good. We'll come down here to TJSJ for the arrivals. In San Juan, runway, there's a runway closure, so they're down to runway ops, single runway ops. I want to believe it is a 10. A shorter runway. Yeah, runway 10 is the only one they're using, so we'll mimic that. We'll go ILS 10. We filed the Beano 3. I guess we can throw that in here. Beano 3, and we're going to be coming off the... We'll just go from there. Because we're coming off a Yankee 290 from Beano. So we'll go ahead and insert that as is. That looks good. Our flight plan, our arrival is in there. Absolutely wonderful. Let's go back to the init page. We'll go to the init B. We'll put our charts back on Miami, and we'll pull out the SID as well. We'll have that for reference. The Plata 2. Reference this chart off 3-0. Looks like it's going to be a climbing left turn, and then out here to join. Looks like we've just aligned 250 knots. Beautiful. All we need is the taxi chart now. We'll hide this. We'll get rid of that. So that's all completed. How's our fueling look? We're still fueling, so we'll stand by on our finalization of the weights. We'll do a magic barrel ref update. Put our DH -5. Everything's aligned, so we'll get pitch, yaw, damper, ATS. That all comes on. We'll go ahead and select our top altitude. Filed 30s. Going eastbound today, 37,000 feet. What we got? 370. I don't believe pre-select is working yet either on this, but let's take another look here at the cabin. Ooh, that's going to be our green dot view. So I feel like the wing textures have been greatly improved. What do y'all think? Definitely looks like there's been some improvements with the texturing of the wing. Now I don't have a good hack view to get you out there without the cabin, but overall I think it's a pretty good texture out there looking. The wings just have a little more oomph to them, you know, a little bit more oomph. So we should be on the Unicom as well. Let's set that up. We're going to go CTAF MIA. 146 stream. We already did one. We'll probably do another one here in a little bit. 18.3 for Unicom, and we have an auto ATC squawk. So for this bird, you come down here, we go to the tune section. We need to be on 118.3, so we'll put that in first. 1183. Is this like the really specific? Yeah, 118.3. Auto ATC squawk code is 1401. 1401 will throw you in the ATC1. We'll put transponder TARA. We're all looking good here. If you look at bring up the APU page, let's go ahead and spin it up. So we get the master switch on. Let's take a listen to the APU sounds from outside. Don't mind Hotel Day Miami. Takes a minute to spool up. Oh yeah, we do have to watch a Fabiano landing. Vodka cruise speed, probably plan 8.0. How about 8.2? I'll plan on a 8.2 Mach. I mean, it seems pretty good to me. Now, do you guys see that fade in there? That's interesting to me. So this airplane is in the community folder, but when I change views like that, it fades in like it's streamed. So I'm curious, is this airplane being streamed or is it actually on my hard drive? I don't know, but did you guys catch that little fuzz in? All right, APU is up and running and available. Let's get the APU bleed on. Fueling is complete. Let's come down here. Let's bring up the fuel page. You can hear the packs juicing up here. Fuel on board 33.8. That matches what we need. Let's go ahead and get all our fuel tank pumps on. I'm actually going to turn the sim down a little bit. It's actually kind of loud, isn't it? Or is it not too loud? Turn it just a little bit. It could be the new LOD. It might be. But yeah, just because I was like, how could it be doing that if it's on the hard drive? We're going to be profile nav blue 370. Now let's run some perf speeds, and actually let's run some zero fuel weight stuff. So zero fuel weight CG is going to be 2737. Put our block fuel on, our zero fuel weight, and we said 27.3 for the CG. That checks cruise altitude 370. Got enough gas to get there, 5% alternate, 5,000 pounds. Wonderful. We'll go to the next page. Everything is filled out. So let's go to the takeoff approach. We're going to look at our speeds here. We're going to calculate this via the EFB. We'll go to weight and balance takeoff. We're going to sync runway 30 for departure. Now I can't get it. There we go. Syncing 350 at 10, 3024. Our weights. We're doing a 15-15. We're going to force Toga for this. We're going to be an absolute rocket, but we're going to do it so you guys can hear the sounds, all right? So we're going to force Toga, but here's the deal. I'm giving you guys a free Toga takeoff, but we still like 250 likes before takeoff. So if you like seeing A300 content, if you like this channel at all, If you like the content but don't like me, hit that like button. I appreciate you. All right? So we'll calculate these numbers. We're going to be Toga 46, 46, 48. Trim THS will be 0.0. It's pretty much a neutral. So we'll load these speeds in manually. I thought there was a way we used to be able to send this to the big dude. So runway 30. We're departing runway 30, Zippy. Sim is louder than my voice. Maybe like that. Maybe that's better. Mic volume is low now. Well, I don't know. It could just be the YouTube doing YouTube things. The packs are way loud. Yeah, the packs are pretty loud. My mic is all the way up, dude. Some days when I launch OBS, the mic all the way up blows your eardrums out. Some days the mic all the way up is not enough, so you just got to deal with it. Miami 8 left, 8 right. Well, nobody's online, so I'm taking off 30 because the winds are out of the north, so you guys can deal with it. 46, 46, 48. Oops, wrong button. So Z's in here. 146, 146, 148. And actually, hold on, we don't do that. We go, VFTO is going to be, so I think what you would do is you would select 148 here, and then you would pre-select 148, pre-select, and VFTO is 195, but 250 is greater, so then I'm going to pre-select 250. So pre-selected 250, 148 is set. So that actually appears to be working as intended. That's good. I heard someone on V-Pilot. Let me juice up that. You got a radio check, Miami?
Yep. 25.
All right, gotcha, thanks. All right, we're all set up. Our fuel's in tanks. We'll go ahead and get rid of the fuel page. What we'll do now is we will depower the galley. We will shut off external power. We'll get the probe heats on, and we will prepare for pushback off 133. Miami traffic, American 357 heavy, pushing back off gate 133. We'll be taxiing 30 for departure, Miami traffic. So I don't have GSX, and it's been great. So, I mean, I do have GSX, but I'm not using it, so I can't test it today. So everything is set up. There used to be a checklist in here. I guess they don't have that the default checklist anymore. Oh, here it is. Before start, cockpit prep, fuel quantities, verified takeoff data, landing elevation. Ooh, where do we set that? It's like 100 feet. Was that on the init page?
I'm CTEP FedEx 1015 heavy, pushing Cabo City, traffic line.
Landing elevation, here we go. There it is. We'll just call it right there. Not quite 100 feet. Landing elevation, altimeter set, brake, anti-skid norm, windows, doors are closed, beacon, and parking brakes. We'll get both of those. So I'm going to come over here to the ground equipment. I'm going to remove the GPU. I'm going to arm all doors. Doors are armed. They turn red, then they turn green. I'm not sure. Close and armed, that's what it looks like on the regular Airbus. So let's go ahead and get the beacon on and get out of here. Seatbelt signs coming on. Let's go to San Juan. We'll connect the ground tug like so. Parking brake off. Off we go. Got workshop to myself today, so V1 juice on the big screen. Steven, well, welcome aboard, dude. Today's a good day for it, man. Today's a good day for it. What'd I miss? Al W, nothing, man. We were just getting things loaded up. We're all loaded up, about to push back. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to push back and then stop, and we'll start up engines so we can just focus on engine start sounds. Oh, I always do it the wrong way. Yeah, I love the A300 wing, man. It is a chonky wing, dude. Chonky looking wing. I love that little flight. You see how it's kind of flexing just a little bit out there? I do like that a lot.
departure.
Go ahead and stop the pushback here. Brake set. Cockpit to ground. Thanks for the push. We're going to start them up. Here we go. So master switch. We're going to go, let's see, today is an even day, so we'll do alpha for the ignition start. And we have bleed pressure. Let's go ahead and start engine 1. I mean, that light off is kind of juicy, I'm not going to lie. Hear that whine come in? I think that's pretty juice. It definitely seems better. I don't know, I can't tell if it's fixed or better than what it used to be. Let's go ahead and start engine number 2. Then I'll get my mic back boosted here in a second. All right, so I actually like the startup sounds. I think they're pretty good. Ronald James, thanks for the $2 super chat, man. I appreciate you. Just confirm that the sound issue is a bug. You're having a sound issue? Which sound issue are you having? Thank you for the $2 super chat, man. So far, knock on wood, I don't think we've encountered any sound bugs. But we got 2 good engine starts. Let's go ahead and turn the ignition off. APU bleed air can come off. Galley shed's coming back on so we can make some coffee. No longer need the APU. APU's shutting down. We're doing a 15-15 takeoff. So 15, here it comes. It says I traveled on an A300 from Skiway to Miami. Nice. First time I came to the U.S. Yeah, buddy.
Miami CTEP FedEx 1015 heavy texting Romeo.
All right, we're 15 flaps. Trim 30.0, which is going to basically be here. That's set. Arm the speed brakes. TARA. 1401 thrust set, so you're happy.
195, we're crossing.
Let's do a flight control check.
Traffic,
Flight controls. Radar. Stop. Radar. Input. It's about as far as I can press it without falling backwards in my chair. That looks good. Oh, sorry about that. Auto brakes max. We're doing a Toga takeoff 102.8. That looks good. Miami traffic. American 357 heavy taxi 30. Who's ready to roll? I'm ready. Oh, I don't have my parking brake bound. Gotta find that. Actually sounds pretty good if you ask me.
Miami traffic, keep 195, clear from 112.
All right, we got constraint mode on. Here's a question I have never even tested. Is there like a default weather radar? Weather and turb is on. do the takeoff config. Check. Takeoff config. Normal. Beautiful. Ronald James, thanks man for another $2 super chat. Says, I mean like the fading of sounds and textures. Okay.
Miami traffic.
We had one
FedEx
fading of
1015
textures,
heavy
so
crossing one.
I guess if that's a bug, it's good to know. Thanks, man. I appreciate you. All right, we're gonna do TJS or airport. I guess it should have the 10.9 page up. Don't love the color they chose. The color palette for this makes it really hard to see. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and turn left here. V-Pilot, I'm not using any model matching, man. I think I just have default, like, a Zobo 320 or 19. I can't even tell you what I did, man. I hodgepodged mine. I tried getting FSLTL working, and then I uninstalled it because I thought that was giving me issues in the A400M, and it turns out it was just the A400M. So I have to reset up my model matching. I'll be honest with you, I don't know what I have right now, dude. Most of the aircraft from 2020, are they free upgrade to work on 24? Swim and climb? No, not yet. Very few have made official announcements about what they're doing for 2024 yet. So, as far as I know, there's a free beta compatibility for the A300 if you own the 2020 version. So you can upgrade to the beta version, which is what I was going to do, and I tested that yesterday. But then I heard that there's a premium version that takes full advantage of 2024 enhancements. So that's what we're rocking today. It's 10 pounds if you have the 2020 version. So I picked that one up, and we're sporting the premium version right now. So this is the paid version, whether you have 2020 or not. Did an A400 group flight last weekend with a slideshow.
Right.
That's such a bummer because I love that A400. Hopefully they'll be able to iron some of that performance stuff out. There was a bear to the left in the median? Hold up. Oh my gosh, there was. Alright, anybody trying to taxi in here in Miami, use caution. There is a bear in the taxiway. Almost went into the dirt as I made that radio call. Ground handling, it does feel good, JJ. If you notice how I almost, I even tried to cheat there as I was trying to go in the dirt. I tried to cheat with the rudders. It doesn't work. I believe is in the median a pop-up going southbound.
Papa Bear.
All right, so this is 2-1. We're going to cross this. Yeah, we're going to cross runway 21. Miami traffic, American 357 heavy, crossing runway 27, Miami. Cross 27. Now what's crazy to me is the default runway textures are amazing in this sim. Why aren't the default taxiway textures amazing? That's unbearable. That's funny. Miami traffic, American 357 heavy. We're going to line up on runway 30 departing to the south. Miami traffic. All right, y'all ready?
Miami traffic, Q195. We're departing 08 right to the east.
Miami traffic, FedEx 1015 heavy, outbound, switching it.
Look at that wing flex. See, that looks so much better. It just looks like it's an actual wing out there, I think. You know why? It's half-assed Adobo. Yeah. Everything can't be great, I guess. But I mean, the runway textures are awesome. But then you look at the taxiways, you're like, what is this? All right. We're locked in. Miami traffic, American 357 departing runway 30, Miami. Who's ready to go? Can we see wing from the cockpit? I don't know. No. Maybe. Yeah, I see the tip right there. That's about as much as I can see. All right, y'all ready? Let's go. Yoga's in chat. be ready for this juice. A little forward pressure on the stick. I'm going to turn it, hold on, I'm going to turn up the sim so you guys can get full juice. All right, it's going to be louder than me or close to as loud as me, but I want you guys to get the full growl on this one. So here we go. Spool them up 50 and a yoga. Profile blue, nav blue. Here we go. Yoga.
1709 for running up.
80 knots, look how fast that happens. We're gonna be a rocket. 100 knots, check. Lee 1, rotate. Feels really great on the rotation. Positive rate. Fly with. That looks amazing. We're getting rocked around here pretty good. All right, there's a profile thrust, profile climb. We'll lower the nose. Climb thrust 95-1 selected. Flaps are coming up. It's got that fading
Miami traffic, Becky 195, we're airborne, passing 4,000 feet.
flap sound that I really like.
Departing city, flap call, Miami.
We're going to pitch it up for 250 here.
Miami traffic, American 1709, reporting runway 30, Miami traffic.
And that's a pretty classic view right there. A bare metal American A300 out of Miami. Oh, here comes a good breakout view up here. All right, I'm going to turn the sim down a little bit more. Hopefully that's a little bit, is that better? I want you to get the full effect. Now let's actually fly the airplane here a little bit. Hand flying, I got to say, it feels pretty dang good. Which I don't think has ever been in question with any builds. I feel like the hand flying characteristics have always been good, whether it's X-Plane, 2020 or 2024. We're going to get maybe might get a little bit of a light chop here as we go through this cloud. Let's see. Oh, yeah, we're getting some chop for sure. See how I feel like you can almost feel that you're going through the clouds there. Oh yeah, look, we're getting some chop for sure. That looks amazing. That looked amazing. Yeah, the colors and textures make it more realistic. I agree, so I'm gonna climb. All right, here comes 10,000 feet. I'm doing my best to stay on the departure, but we're gonna probably get off of it a little bit here. Lights are set. Did I get the strobe on? I turned the strobe off on accident. There we go. All right, cost index climb out of 315 knots. We'll let her accelerate here. Yeah, they feel volumetric, Ramon. That's what I'm saying. The clouds are very volumetric feeling / looking. DH is off, up to 370. Looking good. And you see how they fixed the sound cone, if you will, like where you're up in front of the engine versus behind the engine or right on it. I feel like that they've got that nailed now. Look at this. That is a stunning view right there. That is a stunning view. This is where, if you're in 2020 right now, you know exactly what I'm talking about. These overcast clouds in 2020, just, they missed the beat. Not only would they miss the color, but it's like the texturing of the thick clouds. The thin wispies in 2020 aren't all that, they're not bad. But it's these types of clouds where you get a heavy broken or an overcast layer. This is exactly what I want to see right here. This looks really good. Let's go ahead and straighten our line out here. Let's take it out to Dino. We'll go to flight plan, direct. No, how do I get to the top of my flight plan? Where are we going? Let's go seaweed. Let's go direct to seaweed. Once you get it trimmed out, actually, it is also pretty nicely hand flying here. Oof, that looks good. You know what? Let's see if this works. Let's go to the settings over here. Let's go to the bottom and go external engines. Let's turn it way down. Let's see. Oh yeah, look at that. See, I love that. Finally working. We have control of our own volume sliders. I love that. I like that option. Alright, eventually we'll stop hand flying here. I'm just kind of getting used to the profile on this yoke too. So far, I'm very happy. Look at the actual dirt on the fly. Like, that looks good. That looks good. Are any of you in chat right now, do you guys have the beta compatible one? Are you noticing any differences? Have you guys that have the free compatible version, have you guys noticed anything different really? Anything stand out to you? I might have to fire them up side by side just to take a look. Well, actually, I don't know if you can do that because I uninstalled the other one. There's 18,000, 29902. We're pretty much centered on the flight director. Let's engage the autopilot. Autopilot 1 is on. Who's calling me? Spam. Oh, for those that were wondering last night about that trip that I missed out on, I got an even better trip. So, I'm flying all next week, unfortunately. Real world flying, but then I'll be done for a whole week. Be done on Friday, all the way through Christmas. So, I'm going to have to adjust our streaming schedule accordingly. Con, we are headed to San Juan, Puerto Rico, my man. Oh, look at that. I really enjoyed my quick test yesterday on the compatible Oscar, and that's what I did. So I did a quick test with the compatible version, and then I actually enjoyed it. So, but then after that, after the stream, somebody said, hey, you can check out the premium version and see what the difference is. And right now, I mean, it's 10 pounds. You know, it's not a sponsorship. I bought it. I bought, 10 pounds or $10, whatever. It was 10 pounds, whatever that is in US dollars. And as long as we don't have any WASM crashes or anything like that, I'll be happy. I think this airplane, for me, it tremendously lacked stability. It lacks stability in the sim. Because if you remember flying it on 2020, we had some WASM crashes, we had some bugs, we had some issues. That really drove me away from flying it more. So, I'm just hoping we have a nice, stable experience. And I really like the sounds. The sounds have... I don't know if they're slightly enhanced. I feel it's majority is fixed sounds, maybe slightly enhanced in some areas. But I actually really enjoy them. I feel like they're believable. They're not too enhanced. I like the ability to control my own volume sliders. So whether that's internal engines, external engines, I love that option to have control of my own engine sounds. You can uninstall this one and then install the compatible one. All right. Maybe, I wonder if Q8, he's making content now, which is awesome. He's back, so I wonder if he'll end up doing a compatible. I feel like that'd be right up his alley. You didn't have any stability issues in 2020? I sure did. I don't know why, man. I'd have like messing around in the box. I'd have like the box would freeze up. I'd have a WASM crash trying to put in a secondary or an alternate, something. Even just planning a normal flight plan. The last flight we did down to South America, Patagonia, way down there. Before the stream, I had my test sector. I had a WASM crash. So maybe it's an AMD thing. I wonder how long until XP72 will be flying the A300 on 24. I guess I can guess for his Friday stream. Yeah, I mean, he liked the A300, didn't he? Captain Localizer. XP Localizer 72. I confirmed Intel shills. Yeah, I believe it. I did a ton of flights in the 300 freighter in 2020, had no issues. Man, it must be an AMD thing then, Romulus. Do the textures seem a little low res? No, I don't think so at all, man. Are you kidding me? I actually think they look pretty dang good. Here's a view in the sun, maybe. Maybe you want to see it in the sun. See if I can zoom in here. I think they look pretty dang good, man, if I'm being honest with you. Lucas says, I never have a WASM crash on the 300, but it happens all the time on the PMDG. Well, see, that's crazy. I've never had one on the PMDG. I've only had it on this airplane. And it was only in 2020 that I had issues. See, I should have done my hack view earlier to get a better engine view. But, I mean, that actually is so believable right there. That, to me, like, we'll go full screen cam here. You can't tell me that doesn't look real life. You think the wing view is mid? Dude, what? Hold on, let me go over here. Let me show you the true wing of the A300. You need to see it from right here. I don't think that's mid at all, dude. That's pretty juice. Now, the windows are pretty dang scuffed up, but I guess it is an old A300, so it's probably beat up pretty good. It must be a default BIOS issue. PMDG 777 has a fun bug right now where it thinks it has main cabin cargo door you can't close. Oh boy. Swim and climb, yeah, a lot of down to drivers and software. I agree. I think that's where you start splitting hairs. To be fair, I'm still on the original NVIDIA driver that I got when I got this GPU, so who knows how old it is. I bet you can lick that window and get a nicotine buzz. Oh my gosh. It's still a little too. Let me turn down the master volume, maybe about 30. There we go. We'll tune it down just a little bit because we are going to be doing our in-flight entertainment. Oh, look at this. So this is so cool. If you're a commercial pilot, I just released a shorts video for my commercial members. You probably saw some Barry Seal Logistics Islands. Now, I wonder, we might actually fly right over it. I know AJ saw it because he left. That's it, AJ. That's it right there, dude. Look. Do you remember my shorts video? AJ, that's the same runway. That's pretty cool, I think. Where are we? Let me turn airports on. Is that Nassau or that might have been, yeah, that might have been the same. That's it. That's it from my shorts video. That's so crazy, man. Pretty cool. Okay, at 390, I'm on the barber pole. All right, Vodka, are you in front of me? I'll whatever you're running, I'll do the same thing, man. I will go barber pole as well once we get to 37. Right now, we're doing 80 in the climb. Looks like it. Not no, that's not. Yeah, Nassau. Yeah, not Nassau, but it's probably that. It's whatever that airport was. I saw it on the chart. MY something. Barry Seal Logistics. Can I get some Alpha Zulu 77s? If you know, you know. Just shy of 80 on the edge. MYBS. Yeah, that's, yep, Bimini. Yep, that's what it is, Mickey. I think that is Bimini. So much nostalgia. I used to fly in the A300 all the time. This was a plane A. It was sent to Dominican. Yes, absolutely, Mr. Gus. This airplane had a heavy presence in Miami and going southbound. It sure did. I don't know why those emojis crack me up. Alpha Zulu 77. There was a VIP charter flight from there too. Obviously, that's not going to pan out. You got to be real careful when you own your own airplane, because if you try to do that Alpha Zulu 77 with your own airplane in your own company, you're going to have some issues. There's some YouTubers that jet ski there from Fort Lauderdale. Very cool. Is the 321 LR considered a long-haul plane? If not, why is the A300 considered long-haul? Yes, Captain Simp, I would definitely call the 321 LR. I mean, it's a long range. I would consider it a long haul. It really just depends on what your version of long haul is. But I would definitely consider the 321 LR a long haul plane. What is long haul? 5 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours, 12 hours? So, what's the max? I don't even know what the max range on the LR is. It's just unfortunate that, you know, back in the day, long haul always, most of the time, always meant wide body. But in modern aviation now, long haul doesn't necessarily mean wide body anymore. That's the thing, you know, wide body was synonymous with long haul. But in today's day and age, we got the 7.5. With the 7.5, 7.5 is a long haul, but it's a narrow body. Imagine how much American birds flew into Miami. Thanks for the $3 super chat, AJ. Yeah. No, it's some of my roughest customs experiences have been in Miami. Absolutely. Absolutely. This view looks great. Look at that. Is New York to LA considered long haul? Dude, I would consider it a long haul. Are you kidding me? I got to do Newark to LA. Yeah, I got to do, is it Newark to... Oh, so I picked up a trip next week so I could get the weekend of the Longhorns playoffs off. So I swapped out. I had a 2-day trip over the weekend. I swapped out. I got Wednesday, Thursday, Friday trip. But yeah, dude, it's a long day. Is it Newark or Philly? I can't remember. Somewhere on the East Coast, all the way to LA, and then get this. Then I got to go LA to San Jose. 2 legs, dude. The block for the day is like 740, and you're only limited. You're at 8 hours. You're done. So if anything goes wrong, you might not be able to complete that second leg. But I would definitely, dude. I would consider 3 hours long haul. Are you kidding me? I do recall very vividly the 2001 AA flight, JFK to Santo Domingo. Yes, that's where the stop rudder input came into play. I wish we had that on Green Dot. That would be a great Green Dot episode to watch in the A300. We don't have that. He hasn't done a video on that though, unfortunately. But yeah, that's where you'll get the right here stop rudder inputs. And it's just that was an unfortunate series of events, man. A real unfortunate series of events on that accident. What happens if you don't get done 8 hours? With Tiago, then I wouldn't be able to continue. So they'd have to pull us off and have someone else crew that second leg. Push the button. Little industry secret for Miami. If you are trying to commute non-rev, take the 7 p.m. departures. There will be 20 plus misconnects. Yes, and they'll all be stuck in customs. Hey, that's good to know, Matthew Presley. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. What little island chain are we coming up on right now? Mayan? Is that NASA? Is Mayan NASA? I think that's NASA. I don't know any of these ICAOs over here. Would I ever consider upgrading to a wide body in real life? I don't know, man. After doing a 6-hour flight yesterday or 2 days ago, it's not my cup of tea, dude. Plus, being that far away, I don't know. I don't know. I don't think I'm cut out for it, man. It's on a bigger plane. You don't do as many. I mean, that all depends on scheduling, man. You could do a 4-leg, 4-day trip if you want to. I like the shorter flights, man. It's more fun to me. Like takeoff and landings are the best part. I would rather my ideal trip show up at 9 a.m., go do a hour-and-a-half flight, turn around, come back, 3.5 hours of block time, paid for 5, home for lunch, tuck the kids in for dinner, rinse, repeat tomorrow morning. You know, that's the schedule I like. It's Delta Tango. It's not for everyone, man. You know, if you're single, if I was single and, you know, then sure, I'll probably be more interested in it. But even then, dude, you can't get... Here's the other thing. As I really don't like red-eye flying and backside of the clock flying. I've done that flying freight. And you can't get around it. So whenever you do a long haul, a traditional long haul, so whenever you cross an ocean, you're always going to be messing up your circadian rhythm. There's no way around it. You spend 12 hours in an airplane, you're flipping your timing around, you're flipping your body clock around. If you can't recover from that, it's gonna be more of a struggle for you, physiologically, mentally. Some guys love it. Like I know guys in Miami that do a bunch of red-eye turns. They do red-eye turns. We call them jungle turns, all the way down to South America, Bogota, Panama, all over South America, and they're all red-eye flights. And there's guys that love that stuff. Me, I can't, man. They're like, well, yeah, but I like to be done at 5 o'clock in the morning, take a quick nap, and go spend the rest of my day. I'm like, no, dude, if I get back at 5 a.m., the rest of my day is spent with a headache and just feeling like crap until I can sleep the next night. So it's not... Some guys eat it up. Some guys eat it up. There's a reason why every long-haul wide-body captain looks like the most divorced people in history. Yeah, that's the other thing, too. You also have to be able to sleep on a plane. Right. That's what so two of my closest buddies, they're both 777 guys, and they both say the same thing. Like, if you can sleep on the plane, not that big of an... I mean, he says it's not that bad. He's like, if you don't sleep, or if you can't sleep, or you struggle sleeping, it's going to be a rough couple days for you. So, I mean, I think the only thing that I in my personal life that I think it would be kind of neat to do is, let's say, you know, I have 3, soon to be 4 children. When they're all grown and out of the house, and like, you know, maybe I want to go take the wife on a trip, that seems like being a good thing for that. But right now, especially with 3, soon to be 4 kids, man, I love being home. I just give me my 18 days at home, you know, 1 or 2 nights in a hotel max a month, and you know, being able to tuck my kids in at night, have coffee with them in the morning. Well, they don't have coffee, but we do coffee milkies. So I have coffee, they do their little breakfast thing. That to me is where the quality of life is at this stage of my life. Man, I'm getting spam called like crazy right now. That's why I love long hauls. I can literally sleep anywhere at any time. Yeah, Steven, that's probably why, my friend. All right, we're leveling at 370. We're going to select a Mach number. Let's maintain a 7.9 Mach if we can. And we'll do a quick cabin tour. And then I think we'll go ahead and get ready for some in-flight entertainment. What do y'all say? Sound like a plan? Let's go ahead and turn the seatbelt sign off. This is old school, fly them if you got them. Let's see if we can't give ourselves a nice little cabin tour here. I'm not sure. Yep, door opens. Wonderful. All right. Here we go. Here's our little coffee station. Not bad, not bad. You know, it always gets me, though, on these wide bodies, how big the doors are. It just seems like that this area is just so large. All right, this is where our first class members are sitting. It looks like we're going to need to extend the first class area for all the memberships here. But we'll go ahead. Pretty standard cabin. I don't know if the seatbelt sign works. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. Not the highest detail I've seen, but look, this is 100% acceptable level of detail for me, because I would much rather get the performance and the VRAM instead of having the most highly detailed cabin possible. I think this is a very good cabin, and this is kind of what I think is what I would call 100% acceptable. Got nice chairs, got nice seats. When you get down here where you really want to see things, the textures around the window seem very good. They seem very believable, they're crisp, they look pretty dang good. Kind of a weird repeating. Is that like is that like it's like the texture of the window? I'm not sure. It kind of looks like a weird thing there, but uh-oh, we're stuck. Fly the freighter. Boxes don't need cabins. There you go. You can fly the freighter version too. Come all the way to the back of the airplane here. Gosh, this would be unfortunate. So we are going to do something a little different today. We're not going to do green dot from a window view. Oh my goodness, though. Look at that. Look at that. Is that a contrail of somebody else out there? I think that's somebody else's contrail. It is. It 100% is. No, it's not. I'm looking at a... I'm not sure what that is. I'm not sure what that line is. That's a tile not loading, maybe. Disregard. A bug. But minus that bug, look at these clouds, man. Let's go back here. Let's go all the way to the back. A UAP. It's a UAP. Oh yeah, there's something out there not loading, but... My goodness. I actually like it back here. It's nice and quiet. That's weird, because it looks like it's not moving relative to the airplane. Because when I go out here, it's gone. You know? A New Jersey drone? How about that? Looks like we're passing a frontal boundary almost, or some type of weather phenomena here, because you see how we're about to go clear skies. LOD, yeah, probably just an LOD issue. Alright, I'm going to set us up here for some green dot. Alright, make sure you hit that like button. You guys didn't hit 250 likes before takeoff. How unacceptable. First and foremost, though, let me see the status of coffee delivery. And we're going to get all loaded in here. Let's take a quick progress check. We are flight plan Prague. Let's put TJSJ in the box. 725 miles to go. We're doing a pretty good job here at 80 Mach. Estimating San Juan at 1946 Z. Time now is 18, so we got an hour 46 minutes. Perfect. Oh yeah, I can see that tile again. That's weird. It's so weird that it's only on the inside, but not on the outside. Golly, that just looks so awesome though right there. I almost want to keep the view like this. Mr. Gus, yeah, I do have Latin VFR San Juan installed. Hold on one second. Let me see real quick what I got over here. All right. Gosh, that looks great, doesn't it, though? I almost don't want to watch from the inside. Just hang out here for a minute until we get away from these clouds. It just looks so awesome, man. That something about a bare metal American livery over the Bahamas, the light colored water, puffy clouds. Brewing a cup in my fancy Keurig while on home reserve, getting a full day's pay and watching V1. That is a good day, AFO. That is a good day, my man. Alright. Delivery is just down the street, folks. I saw the drones at the beginning of November in the Pine Barrens, but everyone said I was drunk. Well, so here's the thing about the drone situation. I don't think it's anything like... I don't think it's anything that weird because, or that secretive. They have anti-collision lights on. Think about that. Anti-collision lights. So, what were they trying? They're not trying to be sneaky. Because if they were trying to be sneaky, they'd have no external lights on. So I don't understand what's going on there. I think it's just a bunch of hoopla nonsense. Someone pranking someone, maybe. Alpha Zulu is your favorite livery? Yeah, this is a good livery, man. It really is. It really is. The old school FedEx is juice. Yeah, you talking about the purple one? Yeah. Nothing screams covert than nav and beacon lights. I know. Covert operations with my nav light and my beacon. This is just so cool to see this water. This is exactly... Oh, that's kind of a cool shot, top down. This is exactly what it looked like the other day, man. I remember in FSX when they had... was it, I want to say Rex Tiles or Rex something, where they had all the water delivery, or not the water, I said water delivery, water, Bahama water was like a big deal. Hold on guys, we have delivery here, stand by. All right, we're getting set up. Yeah, but she's actually down the street doing some shopping, so she came in to take the order. All right. Mr. Jesus, thank you so much, man, for the commercial pilot subscription. I really appreciate that. Very, very kind of you, sir. Make sure you check. So if you check in the Discord, there is a if you sync your YouTube to the Discord, you'll have a secret channel for commercial pilots, and that's where I'll be posting the commercial pilot shorts. And I'll probably also throw them up on the community page as well. So, Aviator, what's going on, man? Good to see you, dude. Coast Guard testified they saw a group of 50 or more drones coming in from offshore, also 10 to 12 following one of their inflatables. Why do they have lights on, though? That's what I don't understand. Like, why would they have lights on? That's too sharp of a blue? No way, dude. That's exactly what it looks like. That is exactly the colors that it looks like. I know I get a bit of flack for their Microsoft collabs, but their standalone products like the A300, like this bird, yes. Now the Avro and 300 are ready to go. 24 might be ready. Hey, you know what, Spurious Podge? That's what I'm saying, man. I'm all in on 24 right now. I understand that it still has its limitations and its bugs and its issues, and there's some things that I really don't like about 24, but I'm all in, man. It's too much of an improvement over 2020 for me to go back. You know, my favorite airplane, the Fenix, is already in the sim. We've got the RJ series now. We've got this bird now, which, knock on wood, hopefully everything is going to go smoothly for the rest of this flight. It's, you know, that's awesome. And I mean, I love the GA flying, and I love the career mode. Like, there's too much of an improvement now for me to go back. So, all right. All right, Fokker wind. Yeah, that'd be the other thing. Yeah, I can't wait for the F-28. That's what we need, is the F-28. Then we'll be rounded out. All right. Yeah, Oscar, the PMDG. I think they're waiting for, the thing with PMDG is they're waiting for the tools that they need. They need the tools to be able to see what kind of compatibility they're going to have. The Dukes, yeah, the Dukes will be next level. You know what, guys? Before we do this, I'm actually going to take a lab break real quick. So I will give y'all control. I'm going to do a quick lab break. You have control, don't touch anything, and then we'll get into that way I don't have to do it in the middle of our Green Dot episode. So I'll be right back. Give me 3 minutes. You have the controls, don't touch anything. I'll be right back. All right. Let's open up some windows. No, let's not do that. All right. It's time. Oh, gosh, I just love the outside view. 8 years off. No. 8 years on. We're good to go. All right. So check out this little setup I got for y'all today. We're going to try this out just because we got the main screen here in...
Miami traffic at UPN 3518 is during final runway enter. Miami traffic.
Why are we still on Miami traffic? Hold on. I forgot to go to Unicom. Hold on. We're on the big screen today, boys. Exactly. 122 and a decimal 8. That's where we need to be. All right, cool. Big screen. Jeremy, what's up? Good to see you, man. We're not watching the one you sent me on this one, Jeremy, because I'm saving that for probably a 777 flight. So we're going to watch, I wish we had an A300 one to watch. I really wish we had that stop rudder input, but we're going to be rocking this one here. So before I do all this, hold on, give me 1 second. I'm going to put green dots a link here. Remember, y'all, if you enjoy this kind of stuff, make sure you head over to Green Dot Aviation, leave him a comment, leave him a like. He's agreed to allow us to share his content here. And he's actually got a lot of cool stuff. I'm going to pin that for now. Let's get into it. This is the British Midland. I believe this is British Midland, right? Well, I don't know. Kegworth air disaster? I don't know. I feel like I know about this one. I know I watched it. It's been a really long time. Maybe I'll remember. I'm going to make sure the sim sounds are down. Okay, that looks good. And we'll make sure this audio is up. Make sure you give me an audio check. And let's get into our in-flight movie with our flight over to San Juan.
Just minutes after takeoff from London Heathrow, a Boeing 737 carrying 126 passengers and crew is in serious trouble. The aircraft has begun to shake violently, and a sickening smell of burning has filled the air. Orange flashes light up the passenger cabin as one of the engines begins tearing itself to pieces.
Oof, that's the
The
IXCG.
pilots shut down an engine and begin limping their crippled jet back to the airport. But then, at the last minute, the captain has a horrifying realization. They have shut down the wrong engine. How did such an experienced crew make such a basic mistake? And would they be able to fix it before time ran out? This is the story of British Midland's Flight 92.
Oof. All right, this is a good one. This is going to be a good one. Probably a lot we can talk about on this. So, obviously we kind of know what's happening. They shut down the wrong engine. This has happened so many times. It's so unfortunate because if you look back to... there was one not long ago, it was a while ago now, but it was caught on dashboard cam in Asia as an ATR, I believe, or one of those turboprops. They had the same situation. They shut down the wrong engine because they were always shutting down one engine in the simulator. This has happened in training. This has happened with students that I train when we do single engine stuff and they want to quickly grab and feather something that's not always taught to identify, verify, then feather, right, when you're dealing with the propeller. Same thing goes with shutting down a jet engine. You verify that you're shutting down the correct motor, because when you do an in-flight shutdown, that's a pretty big deal. So make sure you shut down the right one. We'll see what happens here. We'll see if we can kind of get into the minds of the crew. I'll interject any of my experiences or knowledge as we enjoy the British Midlands Flight 92. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, ATR, that's what it was, ATR in Taiwan. Cool.
It was a cold January evening in 1989, as 118 passengers and 8 crew boarded a brand new Boeing 737-400 at London's Heathrow Airport. They were bound for Belfast in Northern Ireland, a short 1-hour journey. Many of the passengers were business travellers, returning home to Belfast after a trip to London, while others were families visiting loved ones in Belfast, and tourists returning home from the UK's capital. There were also 5 cabin crew on board.
That airplane looks pretty good.
Pilots.
That's the IXCG?
In command of the flight was 43-year-old Captain Kevin Hunt. Hunt was one of British Midland's most experienced pilots, having joined the airline 22 years previously in 1966 at the age...
So let's break down his time here. 43-year-old male, 13,000 hours of flight time. That is pretty good. He only has 763 on the 737, so he seems to be new. Maybe he came off of another aircraft. He must have just come off of another airplane recently. 763 hours. I mean, I feel like you really start to understand an airplane after you get about 1,000 hours on it. You know, some RJ, some regional jets, you need about 500 hours, I think. And the Embraer 170, 190, I think around 500-600 hour mark, you really start to get a handle on it. 1,000 hours, I think, for the Airbus is pretty good. Not sure about the 7.3 Classic, but I'd probably say it's probably around the same thing. So he's highly experienced, not so much on the 7.3. So let's see what his FO's got.
Age of 20. He had flown a wide range of aircraft in that time and had built up an impressive 13,000 hours of flying experience. On this evening, though, certain parts of this experience would end up being not a blessing, but a curse. Sitting to Hunt's right was 39-year-old First Officer David McClelland. McClelland had just over 3,000 hours of experience, most of which were on smaller propeller-driven aircraft. He had joined British Midlands the previous year, when he had been signed off to fly the 737. In this time, he had built up just short of 200 hours on it.
So that's actually interesting. You have less than 1,000 hours combined flight time on the aircraft. I'm not sure how much this is going to play into the effect of the accident. Oh, coffee deliveries here. Thanks, honey. Appreciate you. You going to get food? All right, see ya. That's yours? All right, have fun. It's babysitter day, so the wife is shopping. But she delivers coffee. It's positive rates from SV1 in chat. So yeah, less than 1,000 hours total time. Kind of a green crew here, green on green. The FO is also pretty green in general with a low total flight time. So you gotta. This is always what's interesting to me when you look at all the regulations that are in place in aviation. There's so many different regulations. The flight time on type and crew requirements have always struck me as odd, and we hit this before on a previous green dot where I say you can fly. Say you fly the 737 for 10,000 hours, and then you can upgrade to a captain slot on an A320 with 0 time, and I just always found that strange that there is really never any that I know of, at least in the U.S. There's no time requirement for upgrade to be a captain on an airplane for a type. So, like for me, if I went to the 7.3 and I could hold captain, I don't even know if I'd want to do that. You're telling me my very first flight on a 737, I'm the captain? Like, and guys do it all the time. There really isn't issues with it. I just find it strange that that's one, with all the regulation that we have, there's really no guidance on that, which I just think is so strange. But I'm not saying that I'm advocating for guidance. It strikes me as odd.
Neither pilot was a total stranger to the Boeing 737, having amassed almost 1,000 hours on the aircraft between them. But they were new to this particular variant of the 737, the 4.
Javier, I'm not against green FOs at all, man. I wasn't saying anything. I'm just saying we're setting up for a green on green crew here, because we've got even though the captain is experienced, he's got less than 1,000 on type. FO has less than 200 on type, so you got green on green. There's no such thing as being against green FOs, man. If anything, I'm more against green captains. Like, how do you go for 0 time in that airplane as a captain? If anything, that strikes me more than green FOs, because you're absolutely right. Everybody's got to start somewhere. Absolutely. There's nothing wrong with that. I just think it's interesting that on the flip side, as a captain, you can have 0 time on type.
400 series, which had just been introduced the previous year. The new plane had an upgraded cockpit, with modern CRT displays replacing the older analog gauges.
So this is a new plane to the fleet.
This was Boeing's response to the emerging threat that was Airbus, which just that year had released its ultra-modern A320 as a direct competitor to the 737.
Look at that sexy 320 there.
According to Boeing, the pilot's lack of experience on this new aircraft shouldn't have posed any problems. In what could be described as a signature move from the company, they had convinced regulators and airlines that pilots with previous 737 experience didn't need any advanced training like simulator time to fly the new 737.
Okay, did you guys pick up on that? How's the audio? I hope audio is good. So that's interesting. I wasn't aware of this. So this is a new plane, new type to the fleet as well. So, and the company had lobbied saying they don't need advanced training, because you know why? Money. You know what? Follow. There's two things you need to know to understand life. The money makes the world go round, number one. And number two, if you ever have questions about anything, follow the money. That's it. If you can understand those two concepts fully, you can really understand life and the world. And here we are, British Midlands, advocating that no training is needed even though the aircraft is advanced. So I'm going to pass just left of Norbury Seal Airport in 15 minutes. All right, let me know, man.
All they required was a few hours in the classroom and a pamphlet before they would be ready to sit behind the controls of Boeing's newest addition to its product line. This reduced need for training saved airlines millions, and it saved Boeing even more in both time and certification costs. By comparison, for an airline to buy Airbus's latest offering, it would have to send its pilots to the classroom and to a full-motion flight simulator for months on end, at a cost of around $1,000 per hour.
This is why Southwest has been so hard on having a single fleet type, and this is why the 737 did not receive upgrades to its flight instrumentation, its cockpit advancements, because it would require time in training, money. This is huge. I'm not joking when I say Southwest single-handedly had helped guide Boeing to reduce the advancements of technology in the 737 because they want to keep a same fleet type, no additional training, no additional type rating.
The Flight 92 were now about to pay dearly for Boeing's tactical marketing decisions. That's because there was more to this new iteration of the 737 than met the eye. There had been some significant changes to the way in which information was presented to the pilots, and to some of the aircraft's key systems, such as its air conditioning and pressurization system. As the doors were sealed and the aircraft was pushed back from the gate at Heathrow, none of the passengers could have known that up front were two pilots who had never had the opportunity to practice any in-flight emergencies or procedures in a 737-400 simulator.
That, to me, in coming at you from someone who's an active line pilot in 2024, the fact that they're on a new airplane, it's not a new type, but it's a new variant, not just to British Midlands, a new variant released from Boeing, and these guys are taken off without a single engine failure in a simulator. That, to me, knowing how much we stress the importance of knowing how to manage engine failures in a sim, the fact that these guys haven't done a single one in this new cockpit is almost mind-blowing.
First Officer McClelland taxied the brand new plane out to the runway at Heathrow, navigating the complex taxiway system while the captain carried out the pre-departure checks. Before we get to the runway, I want to say a quick word about today's sponsor, Opera.
No additional training
Opera's
at all.
new web browser is really a breath of fresh air.
So we'll let him play through his Opera ad here. Yeah, no training. It's just a classroom and some pamphlets, you know. That's pretty crazy. So when I was typed on the Airbus, you're typed in an A320 series. That was what my type was in, as A320. However, I was responsible and tested on knowing all of the differences that weren't even in my fleet at the time. So like during my oral examination for the type write, I was asked questions about different variants of the 321, different configurations of fuel tanks, of hydraulic system layouts. You know, we talk about the yellow or green or nose wheel steering on yellow, etc. I was asked about all the other variants as well to demonstrate that I still have the knowledge, even though it's the same type. This is even at a lesser level, but I was still required to know that information. So these guys going on a new airplane that's just new to Boeing in general, and not having experienced any of the emergency procedures in it it's crazy.
Download Opera. It's free, it's fast.
This is 1989, Oscar. This happened in 1989.
Let's get back to the video. At 8 minutes to 8 that night, Flight 92 lined up on the runway,
that sim looks pretty good.
McClelland began the takeoff roll.
Maybe Swarm, maybe. Man, IXEG in his prime. Look at that.
For the first few minutes after takeoff, all was normal. The pilots accelerated and retracted the flaps and gear. They monitored their instruments as the plane climbed in autopilot, and all engine indications were normal. It was a typically busy evening for London's airspace, and the pilots initially had to level off at 6,000 feet. But before long, they were cleared to 12,000, and shortly thereafter up to their cruising altitude of 35,000 feet. The passengers settled in for the short trip, with some of them eating dinner, others reading, and others chatting amongst themselves. But this normality would be short-lived. barely 15 minutes after takeoff, as it climbed through 28,300 feet, the plane began to shake violently. Overhead bins popped open, and drinks and personal items began sliding off passenger tray tables. Loud banging noises shook the aircraft, and intermittent flames from an engine lit up the passenger cabin. Then, a horrifying smell seeped into the cabin of burning oil, rubber, and hot metal.
All right, so I'm going to interject something here too a little bit. Let's get into the pilots' minds a little bit here, right? As best as I can. I don't know these guys from Adam, right? I have no idea who they are, who they were. But going from a classic 737 where you have all round gauge, and then going into an aircraft where everything is glass and displayed for you, there is going to be a level of, I don't want to say information overload, but there is a feeling of hunting for information from your displays that you're looking in the wrong spots because you're just not used to seeing the information displayed as it is. An example of this would be somebody who trains extensively on a round gauge Skyhawk, and then they go into a G1000. They can still fly the plane. It's the same airplane. They can manage the G1000, but it's going to take some time because even though it's displaying all of the same information, that information is not exactly in the same spot as your traditional six-pack. They're going to look over here for this. Oh, we have a wind readout down here. We could look this for this. There's a level of unfamiliarity, and that causes hesitation when things need to happen quickly. So when you interject an emergency scenario or some sort of abnormal scenario, when you are in that realm of unfamiliarity, there needs to be significant hesitation because you want to make sure you're doing the right thing and you're still trying to figure things out. But you got to understand in their minds, I could only imagine these guys are climbing out. This is a new airplane to them. They're like, man, look at this. Oh, this, hey, do you like this part? Oh, this is kind of neat here. Looking at this, looking at that. So I can imagine they're still getting used to where things are in this cockpit and trying to become familiar with it. If this is the first one of the first airplanes to their fleet, there's no way they're 100% familiar with it. So you've got that in the back of their mind, right? That's what they're dealing with. And now you're throwing right into a situation where, speed is, or the efficiency of what you do is going to determine if you're going to survive this scenario or not. So there's a lot already stacked against this crew before anything goes wrong. They are, you could almost say they're set up for failure. But I don't know if I would take it that far saying they're set up for failure, but they are definitely not set up for success, in my opinion.
In the cockpit, the pilots immediately looked at their engine instruments. These next few seconds would be crucial. Hunt and McClelland would need all of their mental resources to quickly and accurately determine the source and nature of the problem and to carry out the appropriate procedures to resolve it. But at this critical juncture, Captain Hunt made a split-second decision which would end up endangering the lives of everybody on board the aircraft. Rather than bringing his vast experience to bear on the problem he saw before him, he gave that job to the less experienced first officer and took over manual control of the aircraft himself.
So this is interesting. He took control of the aircraft. Now, this is a great topic, and I think the whole discussion about who should be flying the aircraft in an emergency situation, I believe the best way to go about that is to say situations are situational. You can't say in an engine failure scenario the captain should always be the pilot flying, or vice versa. In an engine failure scenario where there's an engine fire and we have to shut down an engine, the first officer should always be flying because the captain should be the one moving the switches. It's going to be very situationally dependent on what's happening. In my Airbus emergency, if you remember and you listen to the podcast, we had an electrical emergency, and I was the pilot flying. And the captain, because of our experience together, he knew me, I knew him. We were both comfortable in the airplane. It was decided that I was going to continue flying the aircraft throughout the emergency while he did all of the procedures and resetting all of the systems, because sometimes having more intimate knowledge of the systems is going to be necessary for doing all of the procedures that need to be done. So giving the flying duties to someone who's competent is a good idea in that situation. Now we look at this disaster here of Flight 92. Who should be flying? I really don't know. They're both low time. The first officer is extremely low time on type. So it's kind of like, well, let me have control because I know you're green, so I'm going to take control. But now who's going to be manipulating all the manipulating the switches during this event? I don't know if there's a right answer here or not. Let's see what happens.
Now, the more experienced crew member was doing the relatively simple yet attention-consuming job of flying the plane manually, while the less experienced one was almost single-handedly responsible for diagnosing the urgent problem with the aircraft.
So it's kind of how he said mental, how you're so focused, and that's so true. So during our emergency that I had, by the time he was done doing all of the system resets, he's like, okay, where are we at? And I had us rolling out on final to land at El Paso. And when we talked about it after, he's like, man, he was so focused on his duties. I was so focused on mine. It's like that tunnel vision seeps in, and you're so laser focused on what your task is, but you got to be aware of that, and you got to try to keep your vision open for so you don't get tunnel vision. You got to try to keep your awareness level open for what everybody is doing up there, and it's really hard to do. Speaking from experience, it's really, really hard to do.
As the first officer scanned the instruments, the captain was building a mental picture of the problem in his head. He had many hours on the previous generation of the 737, and he knew that on that aircraft, the forward cabin was fed air by the right-hand engine. Since he could smell burning, it made sense that the problem should be with the engine responsible for bringing air into the cabin, which...
Force Raptor, my man, thank you so much for the 10 gifted memberships to the channel. If you guys like this kind of content and you like being around here, make sure you say thank you to Force Raptor. He's just gifted you a membership. Get some members-only content. You get to use the emojis as well. Thank you, man. I really appreciate the support.
Which, in his experience, was the right-hand engine. What neither pilot knew was that on the 737-400, the cabin air comes from both engines. So, in reality, the fact they smelled smoke told them nothing about which engine was having problems.
That's big. So he went right back to his you don't rise. What do they say? You don't rise to the occasion. You sink to your lowest level of training. And if he trained so much on the classics, he knew, okay, smoke is coming from the right. But on this 400, here's a critical piece of information that they could have learned if they went through a simulator event or something. That smoke can now come from both engines. So,
But pilots don't make serious decisions like shutting down an engine based on their sense of smell. Thankfully,
Correct.
On this night, they had at their disposal some state-of-the-art instrumentation. The vibration meter for engine number 1, the left-hand engine, was indicating 5 units of vibration, the maximum that the instrument could display. The N1 indication, which showed the fan speed at the front of the engine, was fluctuating erratically. The exhaust gas temperature indicator was showing much higher values than normal, and the fuel flow readings were varying wildly.
consistent
By contrast,
with some sort of catastrophic engine failure, right? You've got a high N1, you've got EGTs through the roof, you got fuel flows through the roof because your engine is basically coming apart over there.
all indications for the right-hand engine, engine number 2, were normal. The instruments were painting a very clear picture. The left-hand engine was having serious problems. But when Captain Hunt asked the first officer which engine was having issues, McClelland hesitated. In modern aircraft, the engine vibration meters are located on a screen. The left meter indicates the vibrations from the left engine, and the right meter from the right engine. This instrument is one of the most important indicators of any issue with the engines, and it's where McClelland was now focusing his attention.
As someone who's flown Pratt & Whitney Neo aircraft, high vibes, very familiar with that.
However, in the 737-400 engine layout, both engine vibration meters were located on the right-hand side of the engine instrument panel. In the stress of the moment, as the first officer quickly took in the instrument readings, he saw a high vibration reading coming from the right-hand side of the instrument panel. To make matters worse, in a cruel twist of irony, the very vibration whose source the pilots were trying to locate was so severe that it made it difficult for them to read the instruments. This effect was made worse by a phenomenon known as persistence of vision, where, in a dark environment, our eyes retain a trace of any light sources we look at for about a second. All of these effects swirled together into a perfect storm, such that when McClelland looked at his instruments, he hesitated before saying, it's the right one. Captain Hunt's suspicions were confirmed.
So now he's got, what, confirmation bias, right? Because he is inaccurately assuming it has to come from the right engine. But he hasn't really said anything yet, but that's what his assumption is. He believes it's from the right engine. Now you have a first officer who is also inexperienced with this gauge. They're both inexperienced with these types of gauges because they're glass, it's new. But he is saying that it's the right engine because it's the right display, but it's the left engine on the right column of displays. But because he says that, now you immediately trigger confirmation bias for the captain. And now the captain has it in his mind. The right engine is bad. I've got two sources of information telling me the right engine is bad. Whether those sources are accurate doesn't matter. In his mind, he has two different sources telling him it's the right engine. His mind is pretty much made up. It's going to be that engine.
He had already thought that it was the right-hand engine, given that he could smell smoke. He told McClelland to throttle the engine back. But the pilots were wrong. The engine instruments for the right-hand engine showed that it was working perfectly. It was the left engine that was tearing itself to pieces. This was something that the passengers and cabin crew were all too well aware of. They could see sparks and jets of flames shooting back from behind the left engine. They had no idea that up front in the cockpit, with all of their instrumentation, the pilots had missed this crucial fact. But just before the first officer throttled the engine back, there was one last clue that they had misidentified the problematic engine. And it was a big clue, staring...
Alright, so they're going to get the big clue of why it's the wrong engine. But what he's doing by reducing the throttle, that's a way of verifying the engine that you're going to be shutting down. So that's the same thing you do in the Airbus. You're shutting down an engine, thrust lever 1, idle. You bring thrust lever... And ironically, in our book, the pilot flying in that case will bring the thrust lever to the idle position. So it looks like the FO's doing it. It should have been the captain doing it. If the captain did it, he might have been able to feel the airplane do something a little bit different, right? Because now he's pulling back power. He's pulling back his only thrust source here while he's hand flying the aircraft. The first officer's not hand flying the airplane, so he doesn't really have any sense of feeling of what's happening when he's bringing the power back. He's just looking for engine instrument changes. But that's a way of verifying that you're going to shut down the right engine by bringing that power lever to idle.
Bring them right in the face. In the 11 seconds since the captain had disengaged the autopilot and taken over from the first officer, the plane had begun a roll to the left. In that short time, it had actually reached a bank angle of 16 degrees, a pretty substantial departure from straight and level flight.
That's pretty good.
The reason this was such a big clue is that the captain hadn't caused this turn. The engines had. With the fully functioning right-hand engine working at its normal power setting, and the sputtering left-hand engine producing much less thrust than normal, the aircraft had begun to be pushed to the left. This difference in thrust was giving a clear clue to the pilots that the problematic engine was the left-hand one. If it had been daytime, the pilots would clearly have been able to see this turn happening. But in the dark, with nothing to see out the windows, the only clue that they were turning came from the small artificial horizon in front of them. And they were so busy focusing on the engine instruments that they simply didn't notice this turn happening.
So, exactly. Grant Nightbot's not talking to you. It's just an automatic thing that scrolls through the chat. So, but that's what I was saying, right? If the pilot flying pulled the power lever back, he might have felt a change in the flight controls. Now, you can also look at your attitude indicator. You're in a roll to the left, dead foot, dead engine in a prop, right? That's what we always train. Even on a V1 cut, dead foot, dead engine. When whatever foot is not stepping on the rudder pedal to keep you on the center line, that's the engine that's failed. So there are other methods of determining which engine is out. But I mean, these guys, remember what we said before this even happened. They're already set up with unfamiliarity in their mind with this cockpit, and now they're probably having their first ever engine failure in a 737. Maybe not. Maybe. I'm sure it's not something common that these guys have been through. So, I mean, the deck is stacked on these guys. Now, they have an attitude indicator in front of them that they could look at, but you're smelling burning metal and fuel, and the airplane's shaking, and it's at night.
When the captain finally did catch the aircraft, he didn't stop and think about why the plane had turned so much towards what he thought was the good engine. He simply leveled the wings and continued flying. But all of these missed clues were nothing compared to what would come next. Naturally, you would expect that as the first officer reduced power on the right-hand engine, the vibrations and the smell of smoke would remain, clearly showing that the left-hand engine was the problem. But that is not what happened here. That's because, as McClelland brought the right-hand engine lever back to idle, the captain reduced power on the left-hand engine too, in order to descend. And as the left engine was brought back to idle, the vibrations stopped, and the smell of smoke disappeared.
Who's flying the airplane, right? Who's flying the airplane? So the captain's flying the airplane, but the first officer's manipulating flight, you could argue, some sort of direct flight, not necessarily, it's not a flight control, but for lack of better terms, he's also on the flight controls by moving the thrust lever. The captain is also moving his thrust lever at the same time. So you have two people on the controls here.
The pilots had received a misleading vindication of their decision to throttle back the right-hand engine. As far as they were concerned, they had just executed a textbook identification and resolution of an in-flight emergency. The rest of the flight would consist of them finding an airport to divert to and informing the passengers of the disappointing news that they wouldn't be getting to their destination tonight. The reality was that when the pilots reduced power on both engines, the excess fuel which was igniting inside the left-hand engine, causing the noise and vibrations, had stopped coming into the engine.
Basically killed the afterburner.
This is what had made the vibrations stop. It had nothing to do with reducing power on the fully functional right-hand engine.
So he already had two incorrect sources of information, he being the captain, telling him it's the right engine. Now they do one other check by reducing power, and it's a third separate piece of information being fed to the captain that it is indeed the right engine. Now, my question is also, while you're flying, is he not also looking at the engine instruments to verify before pulling that thrust lever back? Why is he not looking at the instruments? Is he that focused on flying? Is it unfamiliarity? We don't know. It's definitely task saturation. They're oversaturated. Their tunnel vision is setting in. He's settling in on just keeping the airplane in a desirable aircraft state. But he now has three separate sources of information telling him it is the right-hand engine to shut down. In his mind, he is 100% set. It's the right engine.
Despite this, there was still ample opportunity for the pilots to realize their mistake. Their instruments were still showing the true story, that all of their problems were with the left-hand engine. The first officer radioed London Air Traffic Control, telling them that they had an emergency situation which might be an engine fire. There were no cockpit indications that there was a fire, but realizing that there might indeed be one, Captain Hunt then told McClelland to shut the engine down. But before the first officer did this, the captain took a look at the instruments and saw that the right engine was functioning normally. He then told the first officer to hold off on shutting down the engine for the moment. If Hunt had just checked the instruments a few centimeters to the left of the ones he was looking at, the truth would have been crystal clear.
So he looked at his number 2 instruments, but he's also not checking them against his other engine. So he's looking for more confirmation. But he's not really checking it against the other engine. At least that's what we can assume, right? Because you would assume that if he looked at both of them objectively, he would be able to determine that, wait a second, something's not right here. But I want to take it a step further. And this is something that hopefully, God forbid I ever have to be in a scenario like this, or anybody who's a pilot that's watching this, if you're ever in a high-intensity scenario with some sort of malfunction, if there is ever any uncertainty about what you're about to do next, stop and go back and verify what you think you already know. Because this is a big deal. You're about to shut down an engine. He's getting some uncertainty now. Okay, so let's stop. Let's remove ourselves from the situation. And you can't really do that in a cockpit, but you can kind of mentally pull yourself back, look around the entire cockpit. I've told this before. I said that one of my favorite sim instructors, you always say after we do a crazy failure scenario in the sim, he said, all right, put your seat back, and smoke them if you got them, right? Because before you make any judgment call, if you're going to do an evacuation or not on the runway, you got to assess the situation. Are you on fire? What side is on fire? Where are the winds blowing? What's happening? So before you make any evacuation call, put the parking brake on, put your seat back. That 3 seconds it takes to get your seat back, it gives you a mental break to kind of, okay, I need to assess everything that's going on here before I make this next move. Because if I declare an evacuation and they're going to go right out to where the running engine is, you're going to have some injuries and you may even have loss of life that could be avoided. So same thing here with this scenario. The captain has discovered uncertainty and what they want to do. It's time to stop. It's time to reassess what they already think they know.
The next few minutes were busy, as the first officer coordinated the diversion with air traffic control, and the captain radioed the company to inform them of the situation.
So now they've split off, right? They think they figured it out. They haven't really shut anything down, but now they're diverging. FO was talking to ATC to get the diversion set up, which is going to be a lot of conversation. Then the captain's already talking to the company, which kind of like to see that at the very end of things. I mean, you still potentially have an engine that is causing issues. You haven't remedied that problem yet, and you're already talking to company. Company should be one of the last people you talk to in a scenario like this. You call them up once your decisions are made and you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. So it almost seems like a diversion in the in crew duties here. They're kind of splitting off, and hopefully we'll get back to it here. We'll see what happens.
In the back, the cabin crew told the passengers to fasten their seatbelts.
They should have used active
The worst
pause.
of the shaking had stopped, but the passengers were still in the dark as to what was happening. Those sitting on the left-hand side of the plane could see a stream of jet fuel pouring out of the engine. But at least for now, the fire had stopped. After a few minutes, the pilots decided on East Midlands as their diversion airport. It was close to them, the runway was long enough, the weather was clear, and it was British Midland's main engineering base.
Beautiful.
So, Flight 92 began setting course for East Midlands. As soon as he was off the radio, the first officer announced that he was about to start the engine failure and shutdown checklist for the right-hand engine.
Okay, so let's take a quick... Wow, I just muted that whole time. Okay, well, I was just doing an airplane check here. But then Delta Tango, I was reading your message too. Yeah, have the gauge flash a different color. So obviously, right, accidents happen, advancements happen in technology, and things get safer. So for the Airbus, when something goes wrong or you start to get a vibe, you get an advisory ECAM, right? You get an advisory. Starts flashing at you, okay. Then you see the engine start pulsating in a larger number, and then once it gets past a certain threshold, it will actually turn amber. Now, interesting that you bring this up, Delta Tango, because so for me, for instance, flying the Airbus, being on it for 10 years, when something is not normal on the ECAM, it's an immediate identification. So if you're flying along and you see the ADV pop up, you see that almost immediately when you look over at it, because you know what normal is, and it's not normal. But that's only because I have familiarity with the Airbus. So these guys who do not have familiarity with the airplane, they don't even know what looks right and what looks wrong, because they haven't had enough time or experience on this particular type, because it's a new aircraft. So, and that's really something that you can't train to. It just is unfortunate that this accident has to happen when the airplane is so new, because nobody's going to have familiarity with the layout. Doing sims and doing actual training would help, no doubt, but when you lack that familiarity, it's hard to pick out the abnormalities. So that's just an interesting piece.
But just as he was about to start it, he checked the engine instruments. Of course, once again, engine 2 looked perfectly fine. He said, "Seems we've stabilized, we've still got the smoke." Again, he held off on the checklist, and the right engine remained at idle. But the pilot's window of opportunity to notice the clear discrepancy between the two engine indications would be brief. During a pause in the conversation between Captain Hunt and the airline's operations center, the first officer finally closed the right-hand engine's fuel lever.
Wait.
Starved of fuel,
Hold on.
again, engine 2 looked perfectly fine. He said, "Seems we've stabilized, we've still got the smoke." Again, he held off on the checklist, and the right engine remained at idle. But the pilot's window of opportunity to notice the clear discrepancy between the two engine indications would be brief. During a pause in the conversation between Captain Hunt and the airline's operations center, the first officer finally closed the right-hand engine's fuel lever.
So there was no Communication? I don't know. I don't know if this is just the way that Green Dot's reporting it. You'd have to actually check the tapes. Like, why is there no confirmation, hey, we're shutting it down now? You confirm. Like, when we shut it down an engine in modern day here in my operator, it's confirm engine to fuel master. And then if that was the FO speaking, I would say confirm. And then only then is the lever moved. So two of us have to look at it. We both have to respond before a switch is moved, especially, and we do that with anything that's guarded. So engine fire push button, engine master switch, oxygen mask, the manual deployment. Anything that has a guard on it is something that requires a double communication and verification before that switch is activated. This, the way it's being reported, it almost seems like the FO just kind of took the time in a break between the captain talking to dispatch that he just cuts off too, because they semi-agreed on doing that, but the captain seemed to have a problem with it because like, wait, I think there might be something here. We still have smoke, but it looks fine now. But it doesn't seem like there's any more discussion after that, and the number 2 fuel selector goes off, that's unfortunate, as we're going to find out here. But yeah, no, Dale, you're absolutely right. It's absolutely technology too. It was just the name of the game back then, right? You're going from steam gauges to here's our first iteration of a glass cockpit, and it's technology, man. As technology advances, there are definite advances in safety and redundancy.
Starved of fuel, the fully functioning right-hand engine began to wind down.
Man, those sounds are prime, IXEG.
McClelland then started the auxiliary power unit, which took on some of the electrical load the withering left-hand engine had to produce.
It's interesting they started the APU
Once
after
the right-hand
shutdown.
engine was shut down, the pilots noticed that the smoke smell had cleared from the flight deck. Again, this reinforced their belief that the right engine was causing the issue, and that they had done the correct thing by shutting it down. But there was still hope that the pilots might realize the error of their ways. In the back, there were 118 passengers and 6 cabin crew, many of whom had witnessed the engine problems firsthand. What better resource could a pilot ask for?
I'm going to interject there just a little bit. Yes, you have 100 plus resources in the back. I'm going to be completely honest with you. When you're dealing with something like this up front, what a passenger in the back has to say is kind of like not very valuable to you, because you know the amount of times that I've had a passenger come up to me and say, man, your flaps are definitely broken, they're really shaking back there, you might want to get maintenance to check them out, man, they're real wobbly. Or, hey, part of the wing flew off, or part of the wing it must have flown off when we were flying, because the little flap track fairing is missing, even though it's on MEL and it's been written up for the last 6 months, right? So yes and no. In this scenario, I'm going to say they probably could care less what the passengers have to say. Now, flight attendant, a little bit different story, but I would still put their information in the same category of a passenger unless you're giving them specific instruction and you're specifically asking them. For instance, smoke or fire, this is a big one. I've had, false fire detection go off in the lavatories before. I had one go off in the aft lav. Somebody decided to smoke a cigarette. Smoke detector goes off. I communicate with the flight attendant. I was like, look, I need you to be very specific. I was very specific. I said, I need you to take apart that lavatory. I need you to look in the wastebasket. I need you to look behind the panels. I need you to search that entire compartment carefully for any signs of fire or ashes, because you never know, someone might dump ashes in the wastebasket, and then that catches on fire with the paper towels are in there. So unless you're giving specific instructions, then maybe. But as far as the passengers are concerned, yeah, not sure about that. Mickey G says we physically guard the other engine switches while the other pilot is shutting down an engine. I had to shut down an engine a week ago. Man, that's crazy. Well, you got 18 of them up there. So, but yeah, see, even Mickey G, they guard the other switch while one is being shut down. So there is 100% confirmation of what is happening. Measure twice, cut once. Very good. Yeah, that's exactly.
The captain called the cabin supervisor up to the cockpit. Nowadays, in a similar situation, a captain would provide what is known as a NITS briefing to the cabin crew. N stands for the nature of the emergency, as in what has actually happened. It is at this point the captain would ask if the crew or passengers had seen anything that could help in understanding the type of emergency they were in. I stands for intention. In this case, the intention was to divert the aircraft to East Midlands. T stands for time, as in how long before the aircraft will be on the ground. and S stands for special or relevant information regarding the safety of those on board.
So we use a similar acronym. We call ours tests. Okay, but we get most of the same thing: time, evacuation, is it going to be necessary, special instructions, etc., etc. But nowhere in our acronym do we ask for information from the cabin necessarily, unless, you know, when I'm explaining what we see up front, I'm like, did you guys notice anything? So for test.exe, geez, when I guys told you about that high vibration aircraft I had, right? So I called back and I said, you know, did you guys feel anything? Did you feel a vibration back there a few minutes ago? What did you feel? Was it stronger in the front, in the aft, etc.? So in some scenarios, very valuable. In others, you got to take it with a grain of salt.
This covers things like whether the passengers will need to remain in their seats on landing, or if an evacuation will be required, and if so, whether all doors are available. But back in the 1980s and 1990s, this type of briefing had not yet been widely adopted. So, rather than doing a comprehensive brief, or even asking what specifically the cabin crew had noticed, Hunt simply asked the cabin crew supervisor whether he had seen smoke in the cabin. The supervisor said that he had, and then Hunt quickly instructed him to clear up the cabin and pack everything away. In failing to get more information from his crew, Hunt deprived himself of the opportunity to find out that many of the crew and passengers had seen nothing untoward with the right engine, but that they had seen plenty of evidence from the left-hand engine that it was not functioning correctly.
In this specific scenario, I'm kind of surprised as well that he didn't at least ask the flight attendant, did y'all see anything? Did you see any fire back there? You know, it's kind of surprising that that wasn't issued, or if the fire was as bright as we're led to believe, and the issues were as severe as we're led to believe from the data that we have, you would almost think somebody would say something about the left engine. But it's not necessary. You know, it may not happen. Obviously, it didn't in this case, but it's another opportunity lost, I guess.
The cabin supervisor headed back to the passengers and began preparing them for the diversion.
Could a pilot go to the cabin for a minute or two, Max? Yes, you could, but in a scenario like this one, when you're dealing with an engine failure, going to the back of the cabin at this moment, really, I don't know if that's a great call, you know, because now you're going to be one pilot up front dealing with everything. So not necessarily the best time or the best type of emergency. Now, a fuel leak, absolutely. I've had somebody call me back for say, hey, we're leaking fuel. I'm like, I know we're not leaking fuel, but I'm going to do my due diligence. I'm going to go back and I'm going to look. And sure enough, the airplane is just like contrailing. So you could see just the atmosphere was just right, that the contrail was forming just enough inside of the window view where you could see it. If you looked back, you could see the contrail start to form. So I'm like, yeah, no, we're not leaking. But went back there and looked. So those types of things, absolutely. You know, go back, take a look, and see what kind of damage is. Or if you have some type of catastrophic failure with the engine and you've done everything you need to do, you're shut down, you're stable, and you want to see if there's any additional stuff, send a flight attendant to go look and report back and see if it's necessary for you to go back there. But to leave the duty station and put one person up there in an emergency, that's a slippery slope. You got to be careful of that one there.
Flight 92 was now being vectored by London Air Traffic Control towards East Midlands. It would be on the ground in less than 15 minutes. The captain was still flying manually and talking to East Midlands operations, while the first officer was dealing with air traffic control and with setting the aircraft up for its approach to the airport. It was a busy time in the cockpit, and the pilot's workload would only increase as they got closer. The passengers were growing increasingly concerned. They were clearly now descending, but the pilots had told them nothing about what was happening. What were they to think of all the flames and smoke and smells and vibration?
That's unfortunate for them, but that's just part of the deal about being a passenger. Aviate, navigate, communicate with everybody else, and then if you have time, talk to the passengers. So as much as we like to think we're all important, in an emergency scenario, the passengers are going to be the last to figure out what's going on. And it may not be the whole truth. That's just the reality of it.
The cabin supervisor contacted the captain, telling him that the passengers were beginning to panic. Hunt decided to make a PA.
Now that's good. That's good crew communication. Captain, I know you're busy. People are really starting to freak out. Can you help me do my job by calming them with a PA? 100% acceptable and a really great job of crew communication here in this instance.
PA, he told the passengers that there had been an issue with the right-hand engine, which was responsible for producing the smoke they had seen in the cabin. He also said that the engine was now shut down, and that the aircraft would land at East Midlands Airport in around 10 minutes. This PA confused the passengers. Many of them had seen the flames coming from the left-hand engine. Why had the captain just said that he had shut down the right-hand engine? Perhaps he had misspoke, they thought. Or maybe there had been something wrong with the right engine too, that they just couldn't see out their windows. After all, it was the pilots who had access to all the instrumentation up in the cockpit. Surely they knew what they were doing. Even still, not one of the passengers made a comment to any of the cabin crew about what the captain had said, and the cabin crew too didn't question the captain's mention of the right-hand engine. Flight 92 continued its descent towards East Midlands, its left engine a ticking time bomb, hidden simply by the fact that it was operating at a low power setting during descent.
Yeah. It's just unfortunate opportunity lost.
As the flight neared East Midlands, the atmosphere in the cockpit was heavy, and the workload for both pilots was high. The first officer, in addition to handling all the radio calls and getting the latest weather, was also attempting to program the approach to runway 27 into the flight management system. In the heat of the moment, and still relatively new to the aircraft, he was having trouble doing this. After a few minutes of trying, McClelland abandoned his attempts at setting up the flight management computer. The pilots would simply need to follow air traffic control's instructions to make it to the airport.
Now, it's not necessarily make or break the scenario here. You should always have an approach loaded in the box. I don't know if this FMS was the same that they had on their classics 7.3 or the 200, if they even had one. But the adage of, okay, we're going to fly the airplane, we'll listen to ATC, we'll put in the low frequency and stuff themselves. In a 737 like this in the time, doesn't seem like, what's interesting to me about it doesn't seem like it's such a crucial thing for flying the airplane, but it shows you how much stress these guys are under. The guy can't get an approach loaded into an alternate in the box in a normal amount of time here. So that should just be an indicator of how much these guys are actually dealing with and where their heads are at.
Finally, in a break between all of the communications with the ground, Captain Hunt decided to review the situation, saying, "Now, what indications did we actually get? Just rapid vibrations in the airplane, smoke?" This was the pilot's chance. Here they could carve out a few minutes to engage the autopilot, sit back, and carefully work through the indications they had gotten and the actions they had taken before continuing their approach to the airport. They had plenty of fuel, and there was nothing forcing them to land immediately, given that they thought they were flying on a fully functioning engine. But just as they were about to begin this review of the situation, air traffic control interrupted them, handing them off to the next controller en route. After talking to the controller, rather than continuing the review of the situation, the first officer began to read the checklist for a one-engine inoperative descent and approach. The review they had just begun had been all but forgotten about. Even as McClelland worked through this checklist, he was continually interrupted by air traffic control, who were giving the plane descent clearances and heading instructions. In all of this activity, the pilots had allowed themselves to become overloaded with necessary, but nonetheless non-critical items, at a stage of the flight where it was crucial that they reviewed their highly consequential decision to shut down one of the engines.
That's it. This is the classic Swiss cheese, right? All these holes in the Swiss cheese are lining up, and you get to that last piece of cheese where you think, hey, they're going to catch a mistake that they made. And what happens? ATC instruction punches a hole right through that cheese. All the holes are lined up, and an accident's going to happen. Very unfortunate timing, very unfortunate series of events.
Finally, after multiple interruptions, the first officer managed to finish the single-engine approach checklist. The aircraft was now prepared for an approach on one engine, and the pilots were mentally ready to carry it out. This was something they had practiced many times in the flight simulator, but this would be their first time carrying it out for real. The plane was now 15 nautical miles from touchdown, and descending through an altitude of 6,500 feet. Captain Hunt began slowing the aircraft, and asked for the first stage of flaps to be extended. Things in the cockpit had been busy for the past few minutes, but the aircraft itself appeared to be in good condition. Now, all of that was about to change.
Start to relax a little bit, get ready for approach. Everything seems pretty normal because that engine is at a low power setting right now, right? Let me do a quick flight plan progress check. We are 183 miles, top of descent 80 miles. So let's go ahead and finish this up here. We should be able to finish this up right on time.
As the captain leveled off at 3,000 feet, he increased the thrust on engine number 1. Immediately, the vibration meter went to maximum deflection. But already convinced that they had shut down the correct engine, the pilots never thought to monitor it. The engine was now under tremendous stress. There was no guarantee that it would hold up until the plane touched down. As he lined up with the runway, Hunt began descending again and called for further stages of flap. The first officer extended the flaps to 15 degrees and lowered the landing gear, and Flight 92 began its final descent towards the runway. They now had less than 5 nautical miles to go until touchdown. With the flaps and gear extended, the aircraft was now experiencing much more drag than before. In order to keep his airspeed up, Captain Hunt had to further increase the power on engine number 1. But when he did this, the extreme vibrations returned. Flames began shooting out the back of the engine, and in the passenger cabin, the shaking was so bad that many of the overhead lockers opened, spewing their contents on top of the terrified passengers.
That has got to be
The engine was sputtering,
wicked.
and its thrust output began to decrease. The captain pushed the throttle lever forwards, but this only made the problem worse. The engine was now tearing itself apart just miles from the airport. The runway, now tantalizingly close, began to slide up the pilot's windscreens. At just 900 feet above the ground, and still 2.5 miles from the runway, the left engine gave up entirely.
She's
There
done.
was a sickening feeling as the plane, now powerless, began to drop. Captain Hunt immediately ordered the first officer to start the right-hand engine, and McClellan frantically began trying to relight it.
So that's a good, I mean, he's not giving up, right? So there's hazardous attitudes. If you're familiar with aviation, you're probably familiar with that. But one of the hazardous attitudes is, and I'm drawing the blank, but it's basically giving up, right? You do not want to, like a defeatist attitude. He just lost his only operating engine that he thought he had was a good engine. He's not giving up. He's not giving up. He's like, okay, start number 2. Let's fly this to the crash. So this is a good move here. It's a good move.
But there simply wasn't enough time. The plane would reach the
Resignation,
ground
yes, thank
before
you.
the right engine would have time to spool up. In a desperate attempt to stretch the glide, Hunt raised the plane's nose. But this had the opposite effect. It actually increased the drag on the
Yeah,
plane
gotta be careful.
and made its descent angle even steeper.
Got to be careful here.
With the plane slipping lower and lower, it now looked increasingly unlikely that the
Fly it
pilots
to the
would be able
ground.
to make the runway. Bells and warning sounds erupted in the cockpit, with the ground proximity warning system alerting the pilots to their deviation from the glide slope, the fire warning for engine number 1 ringing out, and its red lights glowing in the center pedestal.
Makes my hair stand up. That had
Looking
to be
out
so
their
terrifying.
windscreens at the runway, the pilots could clearly see that their situation was now unsalvageable. The captain quickly got on the intercom and told the passengers to prepare for a crash landing.
That was good.
As the aircraft's speed fell below 125 knots, the stick shaker joined the cacophony in the cockpit.
Oh my gosh.
It vibrated the pilot's controls violently, alerting them that the aircraft was about to stall. This shaking continued all the way down as the plane sunk and then slammed into the ground just short of the M1 motorway. It then bounced across the road and smashed into a wooded area on the other side of the motorway. The scene was one of utter devastation, with the aircraft breaking into 3 sections. 47 passengers died, and 66 more were seriously injured. 7 of the crew were also seriously injured, including both pilots. But what had caused the engine problems to begin with? And how could such an incredible response as shutting down the wrong engine be prevented from happening in the future? As a direct result of the crash, all 99 of the 737-400s in service were grounded. Analysis of the engines determined that the fan blades of the upgraded engine used on the 737-400 were subject to abnormal
Man, that
amounts of
looks so good,
vibration
that
when
model.
operating at high power settings above 10,000 feet. On Flight 92, this vibration had led to excessive metal fatigue, causing one of the fan blades to snap off during the climb to cruise altitude. This critically damaged the engine, and also upset the delicate balance of fuel and air, causing a reduction in power and an increase in vibration, which ultimately destroyed the engine when power was increased on final approach. As a result of the crash, the engines used in the 737-400 were redesigned so as to eliminate the vibration which caused the metal fatigue. But the biggest changes which resulted from this accident were not in engine manufacture, but in pilot training. Pilots now receive extensive training in crew resource management, or CRM, which includes the delivery of NITS briefings to cabin crew. Modern training also emphasizes the need for pilots to carefully review every decision that is made, and to take as much time as is needed to do this safely, rather than to act quickly and make a false diagnosis. Training also teaches pilots to use automation to lighten their workload when appropriate. In this accident, Captain Hunt's decision to fly manually had diverted his attention away from identifying
Correct.
the problematic engine at a time when this was the most important thing for him to be focused on. In subsequent versions of the 737, like the 737NG and the 737 MAX, changes have been made to the way in which abnormal engine indications are displayed to the pilots. Color coding and highlighting are used to draw pilots' attention to critical or malfunctioning parameters. After the accident, Captain Hunt and First Officer McClelland were dismissed, following criticisms of their actions in the final report.
They were fired.
British Midlands later paid McClelland an out-of-court settlement for unfair dismissal, and Captain Hunt maintained that he and his fellow pilot were ousted because this was the easy option for the airline,
Absolutely.
rather than taking a hard look at their training practices and at systemic issues in the industry.
Yep. Well said.
Whatever way you want to apportion responsibility here, there is no denying that the impact of this accident on the aviation industry has been monumental. Flying is now safer as a result of the lessons learned from Flight 92. This video is dedicated to those who lost their lives so that these safety improvements could be made. Just minutes after takeoff.
Yep. All right, we're going to debrief that here in a minute. Let's get up on it here. We got to descend. I believe we have an auto ATC here. It says, may receive automated guidance. San Juan advises cross Bino at maintain 11,000 feet. So let's come up here. Let's set this, and then we'll have some closing thoughts on that. Oh, Bino is already at 11. That looks good. Top of descent is coming up. In just about 30 miles, we'll set 11,000. Guys, remember, if you like that, thank you all for being engaged. And that was a good one. I think we had quite a few people here for that one. I appreciate you all tuning in. Make sure you hit the like button, and make sure you go over to Green Dot Aviation. Go to that video and just leave him a comment or like it for him, because help his algorithm out. I mean, it's good. It's awesome that somebody who makes quality videos such as Green Dot is willing to share his content with us here on the channel. So I really enjoy doing those. I mean, that one's tough, because think about the end scenario there where, you know, they fired both pilots. But go back to where at the very beginning I said, I don't know if I would say these guys are set up for failure, but they weren't necessarily set up for success, right? So at the end of the day, those people that survived are alive because of the actions of those pilots. However, those that have perished also perished because of the actions of those pilots. So there's really no good, there's really no scot-free way to look at it. The captain at the end of the day is ultimately responsible for what happened up there. They made a bad decision. I don't know if I want to say a bad decision. They made the wrong decision. They obviously thought they were making the right decision, because if they knew they were making the wrong decision, they wouldn't have made it. It's just an unfortunate string of events. And that goes to show you, every time we watch one of these, and every time there's, especially, it seems like every time there's a fatality one, I'm going to start down prof descent, going down to 11,000. Especially one with a fatality, you can see that it's never just one thing. It is a string of events that continuously build up, and they feed off of each other until, unfortunately, something catastrophic happens. So we need to set up a different window view here now that we got our IFE completed. How'd the Vision flight go yesterday? Oh man, it was awesome, dude. Had some good Vision flying yesterday. Love that little Vision jet. I love the Vision jet. The captain is always responsible unless there's a stiff landing, then it's the FO's fault. True. True story. Absolutely. Down we go into San Juan. We got to check the weather here. See what we got down there today. Right now, San Juan METAR winds are 030. Let's take a look at this here. Takeoff approach. We're going to be 3040. Yep, 3040, 136 retraction. VFTO at VAP is 120. Winds are 03010, gusting 20, 290901. Rain showers distant south. Okay. so we can plan the approach. I'm assuming ILS to runway 10. We'll pin that chart. The MDA is going to be 260. We'll put 260 there. I'll stand by to activate the final, which is going to be a 250-foot rad out, which is interesting. So we'll also go DH 50, 250. Tower's on at San Juan. Excellent. 250 set on both sides. 250, LS, profile, descent, retard, and nav. Down we go. We can see a little bit of some rainstorms out there. V1AL uses C9 or C7 for heavy. All right, super deal. Let's take a look where we need to go here once we get on the ground. Taxiing in San Juan. We need the parking gates. Not you, not you. C9 or C7, okay, so we'll plan those gates. Appreciate you. Looks like after we land on runway 10, we're gonna take probably Hotel 6. That's what we exited the other day. We exited on Hotel 6. And then we took one of these. I think it was Hotel Lima. Yeah, Hotel Lima up to Apron 3. So we'll probably take one of those, but we want to go right over here is where we want to be. So we got one hotspot to cross. That's hotspot 2. If we look hotspot 1, where's the hotspot 2? 10-9A. So let's go to the 10-9A chart for hotspot 2 breakdown. Hotspot 2, maintain vigilance, highly congested area on hotspot 2. And I can confirm that this is a very confusing intersection here in real life. Very confusing. You're going to see a bunch of sky couriers over here. Well, in real life you would, a bunch of sky couriers, which will be the next thing we get in our Barry Seal logistics. All right. Oh yeah, we got to set the freak in the course. I totally forgot. Thanks, Trusset. Yeah, I'm over here thinking we got old school. I'm calling XP Captain Localizer. I'm gonna join him here if I don't do it myself. So 1097. 1097 is tuned in. If I can get it to stop, there we go. 1097. Final approach course is 101. Beautiful. 101 approach course is set. Hopefully we can hand fly this puppy down. Let me take my boots off so I can use the rudder pedals. Wish I could have done one more lab break. That's all right. I'll hold it. Hopefully we don't get any holding. Man, that IXCG though. When I swear, when the IXCG was in its prime in X-Plane 11, I don't think it ever got better. I think the IXCG came out, it was prime time, it sounded the best it ever sounded, it looked the best it ever looked, and it literally just went downhill. Even in X-Plane 12, I don't think it's as good as, oh maybe, I have to see, I haven't seen an X-Plane 12. I know, Steven, I did. I went before I went, yeah. Boots? Yeah, I got my boots on, man, but I'm afraid to use boots on my rudder pedals. I don't want to break them. I don't know. I feel like I can't feel them. Pedals is good. This winter's really getting on my nerves. 20 degrees colder than normal. There's a couple inches of snow on the ground. Well, it's going to be 70 degrees here on Saturday. Team Vodka, you're doing a hold. Forgot to go down. Nice, dude. We're across Bino at 11. Oh yeah, we're not going to meet that, are we? It's because it's trying to slow down. Let me select speed. We're going to try to catch up to it. Dive, dive, dive. it's because it was trying to slow down. So we'll try to catch up to it here. Let's see, we're 25 miles from Bino. We need to be at 11. That's 9, 18, 27. Yeah, we're about 10 miles behind. Tower is going to be 3205. Let's get them up. I love the clicky sounds on that little McDo back there. We have San Juan, ATIS Information Tango. Ever fish Lake Bridgeport? Oh yeah, dude, all the time. Many times. All right, Magic Barrel Ref has been pressed. I believe it's 29901. We'll set it manually. Yep, 29901 is set. Hey, we're catching up to it now. There's our vertical deviation. Josh, I'm using the 3-to-1 rule. So it's 9,000 feet high. 9 times 3 is 27. So I needed to be 27 miles from Bino. We were about 17 miles. So that told me that I was 10 miles behind my descent profile. MSFS 24 versus X-Plane 12. Any insight about the flight dynamics? You know, I haven't flown the A300 on X-Plane 12 in such a long time. Or I don't know if I ever did fly it on X-Plane 12. Valdir, so I really can't comment. What I can say from my minimum circuits that I've done before the stream started, and then
2433 ready
doing a departure out of Miami, hand flying it, I really enjoyed how it hand flew.
Good afternoon.
I've
Heading
also
020
always
departure,
enjoyed
10, clear for takeoff.
how the iniBuilds aircraft have flown. So I can't sit here and say, oh, this version on this sim didn't fly as good, because I feel like the iniBuilds aircraft always had a sneakily good flight model. Sneakily good. Now, what I can say is this premium version, and I don't know if it's the same on the beta version, but on this premium upgrade version, performance has been very, very good this flight. We have been buttery smooth the whole way. Let's hope that that stays true all the way into San Juan. Legend has it that P3D is doomed and X-Plane is following. That's not legend, that's fact. That's fact. Yeah, we got a nice little tailwind, 22 knots. All right, we're getting ready to cross Bino. 11 and 250. Still getting a little bit high, but he hasn't given us anything else. So if we look at our star, the Bino 3, we're going out towards Mila. We'll set 6,000. So what I'll do is I'm going to pre-select 250 knots. And then we're going to set 6,000 and just keep going. 6,000 level change. We're going to do a level change, 250 knots. Getting ready to go through 10. We'll get all our lights on. That's the reversion chirp. No smoking. Seatbelt sign are coming back on. Looking good. Looking good. Need a little speed brake here to help us slow up. I like the rattling sounds when the speed brake comes up. It feels like you're really pulling that speed brake out. Alright, we are sporting the Throttletek 767 throttles today. Gotta say they're my favorite ones out there. I really like this big time speed brake lever too, it's kind of fun. I know it's kind of sacrilege to fly a Boeing throttle with an Airbus.
Hello, FedEx 1015 Heavy.
Let me get flight recorder up and ready.
Runway 10, near center. And FedEx 1015 Heavy, Taiwan Tower, runway 10, continue. Continue approach, FedEx 1015 Heavy. American 2433, departure frequency is currently offline. Change to Unicorn 122.8. Have a nice flight. Yep.
Just sent to DM V1, maybe restart the corporate pilot series. Ailerons into the wind. We were talking about that last night. If we can get the CJ4 mod in career mode, or not the mod, I'm sorry, if we can buy the CJ4 in career mode, then absolutely. I've been kind of dabbling with, just last night we started when we were flying the Vision Jet, and I was talking about how you got to really roll in that vertical speed smoothly, how to be a good corporate pilot. And then we ended up botching the descent and, you know, having to do a 360 almost down there. But I would love to be able to get that CJ4 in career mode, because then it would serve two purposes. We could fly
And FedEx 1015
fly and learn about the CJ4.
Wind are
And fly
03010, gust 20, runway 10, clear to land.
I'd love to see a Bravo or a 550 come to Microsoft. I know they just released one for X-Plane, right? A 525, a straight CJ2, I think. Wasn't that what was just released? All right, TAT is 22, no icing required. We're looking good though. Yeah, see, I love the CJ4, man, and I love the way I had the CJ4 like Wusul mod in in 2020. I loved it, man, and the FT Sim sound pack is phenomenal. Ooh, the new Torque Sim one. Yeah, that's right. I thought it was so cool. I watched that preview trailer with the light off. You see the little amber glow and the light off. It's pretty neat. Good sounds. Just unfortunately, it's in the wrong sim for me. I feel like we never used to get that amber range change. That looks good, though. All right, we are 250 approaching Milet. After Milet, it's Tanner. Tanner. And then that's going to be our chart right into the approach chart for ILS runway 10 from Tanner. Looking good. What should we cross Tanner at? Tanner, Ramsey's at 1500.
Tango, we're established visual 10.
Descend 3000.
November 646, Alpha Whiskey, San Juan Tower.
We need to hustle
Following
down.
the MD-11 in the front, runway 10.
Let's hustle down to 3.
Number 2, clear to land.
10, number 2, clear to land, November 6.
Hustle down, then we're going to slow it up. Yeah, ailerons in the wind. Torque Sim and hot start in 2024 would be incredible. Absolutely incredible. Wow, these views look incredible too. Look at this. This is exactly, I love doing this. I'm going to do this more often. I got a lot of flying coming up next week. We're going to redo a lot of the flights that I'm doing in real life in the sim, because this is so cool seeing this in the sim when it's fresh in my mind. We'll hustle on down here to 3000 and then we'll put the brakes on and we'll fly right by. We're going to fly over the hotel that I was in too. Get some pretty good chop. All right, as we level 3000, let's roll that speed back. Let's come straight back to 180. There's our ILS. Looking good. San Juan Tower, good afternoon, American 357 Heavy. We're just outside of Tanner for the ILS runway 10, information Tango.
And American 357, San Juan Tower, good evening. Continue for runway 10. Report 3 mile final.
Continue 30 for American 357. Glide slope Loke is armed. We're continuing.
And FedEx 1015 Harry, turn left when able. Contact ground 1 to 1.9 at the day.
Left when able, ground 1 to 1.9 off FedEx 1015.
Boarding's coming on. $15.15. Look how smooth that flap transition is. Sounds are coming way up. Go, oh, that looks so good. Looks like we might be a little bit above the Loke here. Let's do a level change to 2000 because I think we're going to be just outside the localizer. I can see the runways inside off the nose. So the hotel I stayed at, literally, guys, I had my balcony. Well, actually, no, the lagoon's up there, right? I think it's up there. So that's where the lagoon is. Our localizer is captured. Loc star, glide slope star. We're on our way down. Final approach speed is 120. Let's configure early for all the juice. We'll do 125. Gears coming down. Spoiler armed. Up to 20. Yeah, there's a lot of turbulence coming into San Juan, man, off runway 10. Mechanical turbulence.
Lear 606 Alpha Whiskey, welcome to San Juan, turn left when able, contact ground 121.9.
Left one
And full flaps.
And American 357, San Juan Tower, runway 10, cleared to land, wind speed currently 02010, gust 20.
Runway 10, clear to land, American 327. Yeah, it's gusting 20, so. Alright, autopilot's coming off. I have control. I believe it's an offset loc, isn't it? Is it offset, or it does look a little sus? Let's go ahead and get on runway 10. Is it offset? I don't remember being offset.
San Juan Tower, Skykeep 195 Heavy. We're
Skykeep.
established ILS for 10.
It is 1097, right? Yeah, so look at my loc deviation over here.
And Skykeep 195 Heavy, San Juan Tower.
That's interesting.
Please reduce your speed for spacing and continue for runway 10.
It looks like the loc never captured properly. It's peculiar.
We
so
are at
we'll just be
minimum approach
visual.
speed
We
for
got the
10.
runway out front, right? You guys see it? I see it. I don't think I have auto throttle disconnect bound, so I'm going to click on it. And don't do that until you get high. All right, we have the thrust levers. It's definitely choppy through here. 20-mile-an-hour gust, 20-knot gust rather. Let's get on the localizer. Yeah, 20 knots directly on the left. I'll tell you what, watch our speed, watch our speed. Let's go auto brakes low on this one here so we don't have to worry about symmetrical brake cooling.
San Juan Tower, helicopter con 21, PR10.
Yeah, 20 knot gusts here out of the left. Recording is on.
And helicopter con 21, San Juan Tower, please continue for runway 10.
Directly, whoa, directly 20 knots. You can see it on the water too. Probably should have set like 130 here, just for the gust factor. Look at that airspeed. This will be a good crosswind test, that's for sure.
16, 14, 13, 20, 10, 5.
And the Sky 195, San Juan Tower, runway 10, clear to land.
Ooh, buddy. That was a battle.
Clear to land, 195.
And American 357, San Juan Tower, when able, expedite your exit to the left, contact ground 121.9.
Left turn ground point 9, American 327. Oh man, we landed tight behind that guy. All right, ground point 9. San Juan ground, American 357 off runway 10. We're going to Charlie 9.
American 357, Man on ground, hello, welcome to San Juan. Taxi to parking via Lima, November.
Parking via Lima for American 3000. Which is right there, so we're straight on Lima. Lima to park. We're good.
W 1334, just to confirm, do you have information Tango on board?
So this is where all the sky couriers were. All right. That was a lot of work. But we are down. That is a beautiful sight. Look at that. That's not really there in real life. So we said Charlie 9er, right? Which is going to be their C8, C10 that's going to be on the tip, I believe. Localizer is broken here. All right. Well, I will say that at least it's nice to have a Hayward airport that seems to be mostly functioning. Pretty good performance here too. No issues with frames. I love that wing flexing as we're taxiing. This is the Latin VFR, correct. This is Latin VFR. Teddy Learjet over there, got a Gulfstream. Got to love it. Oh, we missed Charlie 9er. Well, which one's Charlie 9? I think this is 9. This is 9 in the pavement right here, so we're going to park on 9er.
And ground Skycube 195 Heavy, we're holding short November 3 at Papa.
Skycube 195, man on ground, hello, welcome to San Juan. Where are we parking today?
Cargo run, sir.
Taxing is so nice.
Skycube 195 Heavy, taxi to Apron 6 via Papa.
Apron 6 via Papa, Skycube 195 Heavy.
Skycube 195 Heavy, have a good day.
Thanks for the service.
All right, so we'll shut it down in the replay. Erp. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to San Juan. How's everybody's parked? We've got a United over there, Sky Cubes. Oh, hold on. Nah, we're not doing a second leg today, my man. Not doing a second leg. But let's go ahead and disconnect. Thanks for the ATC, San Juan. Appreciate you. Let's go ahead and we'll leave the lights on. We'll get the flaps. They're fine. Let's try a replay with this airplane. Will there be a stream later? Dev, I don't know, my man. I'm not sure, to be honest with you. Not later tonight. I don't know if we'll do a bonus Vision Jet stream here in a little bit or not. But we'll see. We're going to take a look at this replay. How I map reversers, I still need to map them properly because I have a separate axis. So what I had to do on that one, I actually bound something on my Bravo, and then once I moved it on my Bravo, I moved my thrust levers forward. So I got to use SPAD probably to get the reversers bound on the correct axes. We'll zoom it in here, pause it, run it forward, all the way down, looking good. I mean, this is going to look pretty sweet on replay though, because it was quite bumpy. Look at those views. Oh, we got to turn the external sounds up again. Hold on. The external sounds are way down. Watch your ears. Oh, yeah. Look at this battle in here. I think we'll go right No, I think the hotel was back there. Yeah, the hotel was back there. I mean, we are getting rocked pretty good here. I don't think it's Dyson sounding force for that, but I think it's pretty good. See here as we come in. This actually seemed like a pretty decent handling crosswind.
Stick. 40.
A lot of energy. We decrabbed. Hold it off for the butter. Ooh. Reverser's coming out. Oh, spoilers weren't armed. I gotta deploy those and then arm them. Look at the detail under the flaps. That's good. That they've increased their detail under here. Look at that. We got all sorts of plumbing. We got flap panels. We got joints. That looks pretty dang good right there. All right, let's go back a little bit. Let's see what it looked like from outside. Let me arm the speed brakes this time. So far, I haven't had to do a single thing in replay mode to get all the animations working. That's good. Nice crab. We're working it out, working it out. A little aggressive on the Airbus flare. Hold it off. Wow. Look at that. You see how we're... That's pretty good crosswind flight dynamics, y'all. Look at this. I'm going to actually... Well, I'm going to turn it way down here. This is really encouraging. So we've got a 20-knot direct crosswind here. You'll watch me decrab. Now I got a little antsy there. You hear me do a little, ee. Okay, but I hold it off. Now watch what happens to the struts. As we touch down here, what's going to happen is the airplane's going to want to weather vane a little bit to the left, right? So, but I'm going to maintain the center line with right rudder, and you're going to see this gear compress more than the left because I'm trying to maintain the center line. So right here, you see how I'm fighting it? Airplane almost seems like it's leaning. That's really good crosswind physics there. That is that's one of the best I've seen in the sim so far, guys, honestly. Because normally we'd have after touchdown, it would be an immediate, no inertial, just ice skate in upwind into the wind. You can see even from the back view here. I decrab. Airplane is not departing. Airplane is not departing into the wind. That's good. We touch down. Straighten it out. It wants to weather vane left, not float right. It's not sliding right. That's good. Wow. Wow, I did not expect that. I did not expect that. I mean, look at this battle all the way down. I mean, we were battling this bird. I have to do a runway view. Battle it all the way down. I was a little fast. I was a little bit unstable. Richland, can we test whether activating secondary causes a WASM crash? I want to fly 300 again, but I swore it wouldn't until they fixed it. Let me try at the very end of the stream. I will try to do a secondary activation. Look at that crab, man. Yeah, if I just gotta smooth that little freak out flare. The fact that we held centerline after touchdown with no ice skating effects, I am really excited. All right, let me see if I can't put us near the runway here. So what I think I need to do is I think I need to set a keyboard up just for replay. Because I like all my old replay commands on the keyboard. So I can do that here by going to 2020 keyboard. So now if I go insert, there we go. Let's put the camera like right here. And then we will have it. The only thing I don't like is I go in here and it brings me back in. So I got to go back to showcase, turn you off. Sound's coming back on. All right, here we go. The only thing that saves X-Plane at the moment is weather radar. Man, I don't know why you guys are so tore up on having a weather radar. And resume. What are you going to do when you see some yellow weather returns? Are you going to go around it? No, you're going to fly right through it. So having default radar like this one does, we saw a little bit of weather depiction, that's all I need. But everyone's got their own cup of tea. Look at those cloud formations in the back. Wow, that looks awesome. Touch down. Reversers. No spoilers on that replay because I don't have them armed. My goodness. My goodness. That was very enjoyable. Alright, I'm going to leave this here. I want to see how far out we could see the airplane battling it in. Not quite there yet. So, alright. I will get sail going. You guys enjoy the replay down. That's going to wrap it up. So I'll be back live tomorrow, I'm thinking. Not sure what time yet, not sure we're going to fly. We might do another A300 flight because daggone, this was quite pleasant. So after the sail concludes, Richland, if you're still here, I'll try to activate a secondary. Also, I can't guarantee what it's going to do because, oh, we got rhinoceroses. Because it's been in replay mode so much, but we'll give it a shot. Man, good job, INI, on this one. I mean, this was pretty good. This was pretty good. I've been pretty critical of their default aircraft. This one, give credit where credit is due. I think this was very, very enjoyable flight. Listen to those engines as we roll in here. Love the crosswind behavior on touchdown. Man, that was cool. All right, y'all. That's it. Thank you all for tuning in, hanging out with me. I will catch y'all on the next one. Until then, stay safe, stay healthy. I'm V1. Sales. Yeah, that's my hotel right there. Literally, one of these buildings right here. That's where I stayed, right on this strip. That's crazy. Commercial Pilot Shorts video, that's the lagoon you saw there at the room. Doesn't appear to have any crashes when I activate the secondary. So, there you go. Looks like it's working, man. Alright, 2. Shutdown sounds need work. I think. Yep.